How we're looking up in here on this Friday. Ooh, looking all crispy and clean on the screen. We should be good, y'all. We should be looking all right today. We're back doing this live streaming thing again. Hopefully y'all are well on this Friday. Happy Friday, gang. It's good to see everybody in here. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. And we're about to get into it. Welcome to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the ClassE Morning Show. I'm your host, ClassE, at patreon.com/ClassEbeats. By the way, the link is in the description as well as in the pinned comment in the chat. We're going to get into it today. It's going to be a crazy live stream. I know we started yesterday and then we had to miss most of the day live streaming yesterday. And I had so much to talk to y'all about, so much to get into, and we're going to have a full show for you guys today. So thank you to everybody who's here. We got new documents released about Bryan Kohberger. We're going to talk about that. We got some updates when it comes to this man in Jacksonville who was arrested and essentially assaulted by the police. We're going to get into the full story here. We're also going to break down the dash cam footage, and then we're going to hear more information, of course, about the most outspoken, in my opinion, victim's family during this entire Bryan Kohberger trial, which is the Goncalves family. I always say their name wrong. Anyway, we're gonna get into it. But before I do, I gotta say what's up to the people, man. Shout out to everybody who's in here. Always good to see y'all first thing in the morning. We've got my awesome, amazing Amy is in here, showing up and showing out as usual. Shout out to all the members in the building too. Les Cleaver's in here, J Buckmasters, A Fitz, Kelly Berg, Kara Hampton as always. We got Slim Life New Jersey, Paua Eyes is in here, Nana Bananas back at it. Good to see you guys as well. Thank you to everyone who's in here. It's going to be an amazing show. I don't ask for much on the show, but I do ask one thing, and that's that you all like the video on your way in. Likes are free, all right? And it takes less than a second to like the video. It helps the channel out a lot. It lets the YouTube algorithm and whatever platform's algorithm you're watching on know that you guys are enjoying the show. It shares the video, this live stream, all the videos we've done in the past with other people. So thank you to all 300 plus of you that have liked the video so far. I know it's a little thing, but it really does help out a lot and goes a long way. So if y'all could like the video on your way in. Also, if you're feeling extra generous, you can share the video too. It's that little arrow that's going to the right. It's curved sideways. If you could, you can click that arrow, share the video out. You can share it on Facebook, Instagram, X, Snapchat, your group chat, even so you can let people know where you like to hang out in the mornings. All right. So thank you again to everybody that's done that. Also, I'll be shouting out and saying thank you to those of you who go the extra mile and send in super chats to support the show. So we'll start the day with some super chats. My guy Les Cleaver in here, the first super chat of the day. What does he say? Thank God it's Friday. All be safe and stay cool and hydrated. Have a great weekend. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord's face smile upon you. Yes, smile, be loved, and relax. Amen. Shout out to Les Cleaver. Thank you for that good word, sir. We got Kara Hampton in here dropping the 5 bomb as well. She says, it's Friday, y'all. The start to a wonderful weekend. Hope everyone has a great day and weekend on purpose. Absolutely. Thank you, ClassE and Amy, for all that you do. Thank you, Kara Hampton, for the continued support, for always showing up and showing out as well. We've got Mary is in here, became a new member. Welcome to the new members in the building. Mary Llewellyn's in here, became a new member. If you haven't yet, make sure you check out all the benefits that come with being a member. Not only do you get access to members only content, you get instant access to any video that we drop here on the channel. You also have custom emojis you can use in the chat, and your name gets highlighted in that beautiful green over there as well. So welcome to the member side, Mary, and we appreciate you being here. All right. And speaking of awesomeness, we got my awesome, amazing Amy dropping the 5 bomb with the super chat. She says, every detour you've taken still leads to destiny. Nothing is wasted when you're walking in purpose. Amen to that. Shout out to Amy. Oh my goodness. With the good word there. Is that from a song? Amy probably wrote that. Amy is so introspective. It's just amazes me. How many of these are her genuine, insightful thoughts? Such a blessing, man. Speaking of being a blessing, Amy also gifted 5 memberships. If you got a membership from Amy, it's an easy thing to do. Make sure that you say thank you, guys. As I mentioned before, when I was talking about Mary becoming a new member, you get a lot of access by being a member here on the channel. So if you got a membership, just make sure you shout Amy out and say thank you. We got Pa'u Eyes in here just showing love. Dropping the 5 bomb as well. Thank you, Pa'u Eyes, for being in here and supporting and watching me struggle through pronouncing your name for almost, I don't know, it was months, it seemed like. I was up here struggling, but I got it. Thanks to Amy for helping me out there too. Amy said she wrote that. Of course she did. All right. And thank you to Amy for always reminding y'all to like the video. If you haven't yet, like the video. Likes are free. Let's go ahead and get into the show and into our first topic. Thankfully, we're all good to go today. I know we were struggling yesterday with I don't know what was going on. I had some technical difficulties. My internet was going in and out. Y'all are saying maybe it was because of the weather. I don't know what was happening, but thankfully we're back. We're ready to go. Amy is such an angel. Oh man, that's an understatement. Angels look at Amy and they feel like they aren't doing enough. You're like, gosh, man, she's just too good. Shout out to Amy. Thanks, Amy. I can't wait to explore everything. I'm new to YouTube in general. I live under a rock. Nothing wrong with that, especially in 2025. I only follow 3 people on YouTube now. Oh, shout out to Mary. Thank you for being over here as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into it, guys. So we had a press conference that we didn't get to cover that took place after Bryan Kohberger's sentencing. A lot of the questions that we had here on this channel and that the community had in general about what went on during this investigation, what did they find, what were prosecutors seeing as they were looking at the evidence and going through discovery. Well, all of those questions and more were answered during this press conference. So I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to get right into it. And you guys can check out what was said. Some interesting stuff here.
Marks the end of a long and challenging journey through the criminal justice system. We acknowledge that for the families, friends, and loved ones of these 4 young people, the grief does not end because the losses are permanent and the pain remains. We want to express our deepest gratitude for their strength and resilience during this challenging time. We will honor their loved ones' memories and reaffirm our commitment to ensuring their lives are not forgotten. This investigation, one of the most complex and high-profile cases in our state's history, was made possible by an extraordinary level of collaboration. From local and state police officers to federal agents and analysts, as well as prosecutors, forensics teams, and technical experts. It also took immense courage, patience, and resilience from a grieving community whose role was invaluable. From the very beginning of this tragedy, Moscow Police Department and our law enforcement partners never lost sight of the mission.
FBI was
which was to bring justice for the victims and their families and to hold accountable the person who committed these horrible crimes. Despite the complexity of this case, our team never wavered. They never gave up, and we completed the mission. During this investigation, I was fortunate to witness the level of professionalism, expertise, drive, and passion that each member of the investigative team brought to the overall effort. And it was truly awe-inspiring. To all who came to our aid and assisted in this immense undertaking, I cannot express my gratitude enough. We are forever thankful. And I would be remiss if I did not thank the amazing communities of Moscow and the University of Idaho. For weeks on end during this investigation, the support you provided to our team was greatly appreciated. The numerous phone calls, letters, and seemingly endless stream of food helped keep our spirits high and encouraged us to press on. Today, we want to provide an opportunity to hear from the key agencies involved in the investigation, prosecution, and overall response to this case. Each agency played a vital role in pursuit of truth and accountability. Further remarks will be provided by the Latah County Prosecutor's Office, followed by the Idaho State Police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Office of the Attorney General. Each speaker will provide brief comments, followed by a limited Q&A session. With that, I'd like to introduce Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson, representing the Latah County Prosecutor's Office.
All right, here we go. And this man's retiring. He's done after
Welcome,
this.
everybody. It's been a long time since we've been able to stand in the same room together, and you have to listen to me talk. I'm sorry. First off, I want to thank the folks here in Ada County. I can tell you I would much prefer to be in Latah County right now and be able to talk to the people most directly impacted by this but Ada County has been a phenomenal support and protector for the integrity of this case, and I just want to send that shout out right now. So today, you are all, I think, listening in, either in person or with the live stream. We have reached the conclusion of the judicial process, and we believe we've achieved accountability and finality and certainty for everyone who has suffered from this, so we can try to move on. As you are aware, Mr. Kohberger pleaded guilty to all 5 counts of the indictment. He pleaded guilty as charged. There was no plea bargain to change charges, drop charges. He pleaded guilty straight up, and he admitted under oath to Judge Hippler that the allegations are true. He has also received a life and death sentence, and that he is going into the Department of Corrections custody, and he will remain there until he dies. And our communities are protected from him. Our communities are safe from him, and we have finality and conclusion, not just for the families, but for everyone who suffered because of this.
I asked this in a previous video. Do you guys feel like this is justice for the family? If you haven't seen it yet, I'll leave a link in the description. Go back and look at the video where we talked about what Bryan Kohberger's living situation is going to be like. Guys, his living situation, it seems like it might be better than some other people who live in America, in this country, outside of those walls. And he gets to stay there and live his life because of what he did. He may even be in isolation, so he may not even be a threat, as some people want, by other people in the prison. So it's tough to hear. I cannot imagine as a family how they would feel. I know we got to hear a lot of the family members express how they felt about the plea deal and what they wanted to see happen. Some were okay with it. Others, they wanted to see his life be exchanged for what he did. I don't know if this, you guys have to let me know what you think in the comments in the chat.
Chief Dollinger talked about the extraordinary teamwork on this case. And I can tell you that Ashley Jennings, my senior deputy, and I, we were with the investigators from day one. We worked as a team beyond any team that I've seen in my almost 33 years as a Latah County prosecutor and 45 years as an attorney in Idaho. This level of collaboration is indescribably phenomenal. And in this room, we have representatives of the FBI, and you'll hear, of course, Special Agent Grover.
Yeah, we want to hear from the FBI.
We have representatives from the Idaho State Police. We have representatives from the Moscow Police Department. We have representatives from the Office of the Idaho Attorney General. I can tell you, I will be forever grateful for the assistance that Jeff Nye, the head of the criminal division, and his deputy attorneys general, Ingrid Maddie, standing beside him, offered to us. I don't know that we would have been able to reach the conclusion that we have today as successfully without their brilliant and dedicated work. And they too have lived this case from the get-go.
It's tough, man.
Our hearts and prayers go out to the families, not just the immediate biological or legal families, but the university family, the 1122 King Street family. You all saw the group picture, and you've seen that group picture so many times over the past 2.5 years. And now you have real faces to go with those young, vibrant people who, 4 of whom were killed 12 hours, half day after that picture was taken. We respect the families. We realize that we had tough decisions to make, and we made them, but we did not make them in a vacuum. As I said in court today, we reached out to the families. We asked their thoughts. We listened to what they had to say. We accept and recognize that not everybody agrees with the decision we made, but this isn't a popularity contest. And we made what we thought was the most appropriate decision under the law and on the facts to give this case closure in a sense it would never be realized otherwise. Judge Hippler talked today about I guess, the fallacy of expecting that there would be some miraculous coming clean and disclosure from the defendant. In the first instance, as the judge said, he doesn't have the power to compel that. We, the state, don't have the power to compel that. And as a practical matter,
There's got to be something you could do.
it would not be helpful. It would give him a forum to share whatever he thought to control the dialogue. Not going to happen to our victims. We can't allow that to happen.
Well, that's not true. As I said before, if he does an interview, then all that goes out the door. And I know we talk about mainstream media, as disgusting as it is, NBC, ABC, Nightline, Dateline, Good Morning America, Lester Holt, his own professor. They want to hear what this man has to say. And I have a feeling somebody's going to get him to talk. He's going to be willing to talk to someone, and it's going to happen anyway. So why not do it in court? Why not do it before the families? I don't get that. I don't get this point at all. And I think it's something that there could have been a way to compel it. I don't know. I think they could have done more.
So I'll say this with caution. I look forward to your questions. I will be perfectly honest with you. I will answer them as best I can. If I can't tell you the answer to something, I'll tell you that. And I ask for your assistance and your respect as we walk through that, because there are still people who are suffering, and I'm not going to victimize families. I'm not going to victimize the deceased again. And I'll just tell you that if we get those sorts of questions. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Right now, what I would like to do is hand the podium over to Colonel Bill Gardner from the Idaho State Police so he can share his agency's perspective on this. Thank you.
Yeah, and the prosecutor did a great job.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Colonel Bill Gardner, Director of the Idaho State Police. To the families, your courage and strength throughout this painful process, it indeed kept us moving forward. Your strength, and particularly your love for one another, was inspiring, and it motivated all of us. You've carried a burden no one should ever have to bear. This investigation demanded the very best from everyone involved. Crime scene teams, forensic scientists, intelligence analysts, and investigators answered the call with professionalism, precision, and resolve. They did not do it for recognition. They did it because 4 innocent lives were taken, and the victims and their families deserve nothing less. It is clear this case required a team approach. Not only did the Moscow Police Department, the Leetah County Sheriff's Office, the Idaho State Police, and the FBI come together quickly, but others provided significant assistance behind the scenes. I'd like to highlight a few of those. I personally want to thank Colonel Paris of the Pennsylvania State Police. Once this case moved across the country, the Pennsylvania State Police went out of their way to provide resources and support while our people were on the ground there. Yep. Also, it's important to note that from the moment this case began, Governor Little was fully supportive of the investigative process. He provided funding and support to make sure the job was done right. And finally, as was already mentioned, the Idaho Attorney General's office provided significant input and help during the preliminary motions. We relied heavily upon their expertise as we moved throughout this whole process. As law enforcement officers, we often say that this is more than a job, it's a calling. This case reminds us why we answer that call, why we stand for victims, why we fight. In this case, why we fight pure evil, and why we keep going. Even when the road is long and answers are hard to find. In this horrific case, I am proud of the work that was done and the people who carried it out. They exemplify the very best of our profession and help to bring closure to 4 families. I'll now turn the podium over to Salt Lake City FBI Field Office Supervisory Senior Resident Agent, Brett Grover.
Good afternoon. My name is Brett Grover. I'm the Supervisory Senior Resident Agent in our Coeur d'Alene office of the FBI, which is part of our FBI Salt Lake City division. On behalf of the FBI, we offer our deepest condolences to the families of Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xander Canoodle, and Ethan Chapin. The culmination of this case was a long time coming, and we hope the victims' families and friends have some sense of peace in knowing that Bryan Kohberger is being held responsible and accountable for his heinous actions. The FBI is proud to have supported the Moscow Police Department in the state of Idaho with the investigation and prosecution of this case. Countless hours have gone into this investigation. The FBI dedicated significant resources to include digital and forensic analysis, intelligence support from our folks at FBI headquarters and field offices around the country, and victim services, which continue to this day. Today's sentencing also demonstrates how the responsible use of investigative genetic genealogy, or IGG, can transform a crime scene into accountability and closure. The IGG process involves the use of DNA analysis combined with traditional genealogy research to generate investigative leads for unsolved violent crimes. In late 2022, IGG provided a crucial investigative direction for investigators working this case. But I want to be clear, IGG was just one tool that led us here today. It's a powerful complement to the core investigative work done by both the FBI and our partner agencies. The bottom line is that successful cases like this are about strong partnerships and a shared goal, the goal of keeping our communities safe and providing a measure of justice for the families of our victims. Thank you. I'll now turn the time over to the Attorney General for the state of Idaho.
Shout out to the AG, putting together a great team.
Good afternoon. I'm Raul Labrador. I'm the Attorney General of the state of Idaho. Today's a heavy day for the families who lost their children, for the community of Moscow, and for the entire state of Idaho. With the sentencing today, a painful chapter closes in one of the darkest and most heartbreaking moments in our state's history. We're here because 4 young lives were stolen from us far too soon. They were full of promise. They had dreams and aspirations, people who loved them, and communities that believed in them. Their loss is immeasurable. Their absence is felt every day, not only by their families, but by classmates, friends, neighbors, and all of us who came to know their names and their stories. There is no sentence that can bring true justice for this kind of evil. Nothing we do today can undo the heartache or fill the empty chairs at family tables. But today's sentencing ensures one thing, that the perpetrator will never again walk free. In fact, he will never harm another family. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to Prosecutor Bill Thompson, whose steady leadership has guided this case from the beginning, to the people of Latah County for their trust and commitment to justice, and to the state of Idaho, and to the state, also to the local and federal law enforcement communities who have been focused on bringing justice for the victims. I also want to recognize Jeff Nye, who's the chief of my office's criminal law division, and the team of attorneys in my office who work side by side with local prosecutors. Their contributions were quiet, but vital. They help protect the grand jury's work. They pushed back against legal challenges and successfully defended the use of advanced forensic tools that helped identify Kohberger. These were groundbreaking legal efforts done with resolve, with care, and in the name of public safety. Their outstanding legal work spared the families and the public from a drawn-out, painful trial that would have reopened wounds and prolonged the family's agony. When I became the Attorney General 2.5 years ago, I interviewed Jeff Nye. He was not the chief of the criminal division at the time. And I asked him if there was anything he would change in the office of Attorney General. If you get to know Jeff, he had a long list. It was a very long list of things that he would change in the criminal division. But the first thing he talked about was the fact that our office was not helping local prosecutors with their prosecution. It was a take it or leave it kind of approach. That we either took the case and handled all the matter, or we did nothing at all. And he said that there were important cases where we could actually assist in the office of Attorney General. It's one of the reasons I hired him to be my chief of the criminal division. And I think today culminates the wise decision that he had to make those changes and the important change that we made in the office. This moment didn't come easily. It was the result of tireless effort, careful preparation, and unwavering pursuit of the truth. Behind the scenes, our legal teams worked diligently to defend dozens of legal challenges. Their efforts not only helped ensure a just outcome, they also spared the families and the community from the painful trial and endless appeals that would have reopened deep wounds. To the families of Madison, Kaylee, Santa, and Ethan, no words from any of us, no legal ruling, and no sentence from a judge can heal what you've endured. But I want you to know this. My sincere wish is that you have not carried this burden alone. Idaho grieves with you. Idaho stands with you. And your children's names will not be forgotten. We honor them, not only with our words today, but with our commitment to protecting others in their memory. I will never stop fighting for the people of Idaho, and I thank every single member of this community who has just reached out to the families and supported them. And may God bless the souls of the victims and the families who have suffered.
Yeah.
Thank
They
you.
did a lot of great work in this trial. I wish we're going to cover later on in several videos that we're going to be releasing some of the details that are coming out now that the documents have been released by Judge Hippler, and a lot of information, not only from Judge Hippler, but from the family, is being shown as to what went on during this investigation, what happened to some of the victims. We're going to get into it in the next video, but let me know what y'all think about this so far in the comments and in the chat. Did the prosecution make the right decision in not taking this to trial? Is this just? I want to know. And we're going to keep it moving here in a second. We still got the Q&A coming up, but shout out to everybody who's in here. We got over 1,000 of y'all in the building. This is tough. I said this in the comments. I said I think going to trial would have been a win-win if he's found guilty. If he's found guilty, he faces a firing squad or lethal injection. A lot of the family, that's something that they wanted to see happen. If he's found not guilty, which was highly unlikely, the uncle, as he said, can take him into the woods and talk to him. But again, looking at what we're seeing here, and one of the main reasons he took the plea deal is because there's no way a jury would have found this man not guilty. I'm not seeing it. Of course, you always take that risk, and maybe there's some weird misstep that the defense can find during the investigation that puts reasonable doubt into the minds of the jury. It just seems with all the evidence surrounding this, that would have been highly unlikely, and this man most likely would have been facing the death penalty. So either way, let's keep it moving. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the Q&A segment, and we're going to find out what happened during this investigation, because we got the FBI here, got the AG, we got state and local law enforcement. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered.
Now we will transition into our question and answer phase. Joining me at the podium will be Bill Thompson from the prosecutor's office and the two lead investigators, Brett Payne and Darren Gilbertson. Just a couple of things before we begin. We recognize that everyone has a lot of questions. We're going to try to do our best to get to as many as we possibly can. Also, keep in mind that there are still some things that we are unable to talk about because of either privacy interests for the victims and their families, and or they are under seal currently in the court. So if those items do come up, then that will certainly be the answer that you will receive. And to keep this sort of orderly, I will try to be the one to point out who's got their hands up. Right there.
Chief Dollinger,
Yes.
Amanda Rowley with Crime 2 in Spokane. What more can you tell us about the released documents that the police department is working on putting online, and what can we expect from that?
Certainly. As we put out in that press release, I hope everybody can understand the immense amount of information that's in this investigation is going to take a lot of time to prepare.
Yeah.
It has to be gone through legally to be redacted or figured out whether or not it can actually be released. So I did get word today. It sounds like our website will be going live hopefully this afternoon. There should be another press release coming out in the next few hours to show that website so that people can start accessing that. Initially, what is going to be on there, and certainly this is just for the Moscow Police Department because we're only the holders of our records, but it will be all of our police reports from this investigation. So just the documents there. They'll be redacted, ready to go, again, free of charge for the public. We want to be as transparent as we possibly can, so we wanted to get those out to everyone.
Chief, from the very beginning, your department was saying this was a targeted attack. Can you now say who was the target and what's your evidence to show that?
I'll turn that question over to the investigators to answer that
That's
one.
a great question. I hope they answer it directly.
Well, I think Darren and I have, the evidence suggested that there was a reason that this particular house was chosen. What that reason is, we don't know. We don't know who the target was, and we're not going to speculate on that up here today. But we can tell you that for whatever reason, Mr. Kohberger chose that residence. Perhaps it's the location, layout, we don't know. But that's, to the best of my knowledge, that's what that statement likely led to.
Now we're hearing information that there was something going on possibly with Maddie, and that's why there was an issue with Maddie and Kaylee being in the same room when Bryan was there. We're going to get into that later. But if they don't know why Bryan did this, are we saying that Bryan had no interaction with these people? He just picked them as a target because he thought this might be a good reason for him to break into this house. It might be easy entry, easy target. I mean, with a house with 4, 5, 6 people living in it. From other reports that we're hearing and what the evidence is looking like it's showing is that he only went there for one person. There has to be a reason. So I don't know. We'll have to see the evidence as it comes out.
Haley up there, KHQ. There was a social media account that surfaced that has long had speculation that it was Bryan Kohberger. Can you talk at all about the Papa Roger potential connection, if any?
Right. There was no connection. There wasn't at all. We looked into every bit of it. We took a deep dive into it. We researched it.
So it's not Papa Robert.
It was not.
Papa Roger.
It was not. Thank you. We can cut that off.
Is it possible that there was a second murder weapon used, not just a knife?
Is it possible? All the evidence shows and tells us that he used a knife, a K-bar knife, and that's the weapon we believe was used to commit all the murders.
Here.
He didn't answer the question.
The Gonzalez family said that there was a second weapon that was used on Haley Gonzalez.
They're still asking about the
Out of respect
second
for the
weapon.
families, that's something that you'll have to get from them. If they wish to share that with you, it'd probably be through them, not through us.
And one more question. You said that it seemed like he chose that house. There's no clues as to why he chose that house?
You know, after working in Moscow for several years as Chief Dollinger, that area is frequented by many, many people at all hours of the night when college is in session. So what Darren and I have surmised is that perhaps it's the old hiding in plain sight. There's lots of people around. There's lots of vehicles around at all hours. It's not isolated where you'd be noticed. So that's where that comment comes from.
It does. And no, it doesn't make sense. And it's if you were in that neighborhood at all, it's a very complicated neighborhood. It's very closed in. But at the same time, there's everything from college kids to adults that live there, people that have full-time jobs, part-time jobs. So any one of us could come and go and fit in there. So, right here.
DA Thompson, during the plea hearing and then again today, it seemed like your voice quivered a bit when you were either putting on photographs or mentioning the victims' names. I'm just wondering about the emotional toll on that one.
Yeah, you're right. My voice was quivering. Y'all were in there. There's a lot of powerful emotion.
Yeah.
Losses are almost indescribable. And maybe my filters aren't as good as they might have been 45 years ago when I started in this business. But I think you also saw that even Judge Hippler was affected and impacted by this. There is no easy way to remain stiff-lipped and dry-eyed through this kind of tragedy. There just simply isn't.
I'm sure you're not aware of this yet, but there was a photograph where they zoomed in on a picture that Bryan Kohberger had on the defense counsel table. It was an image of a black heart. I don't know if you've heard this or if you've seen the image. Hearing this, your thoughts?
First I've heard of it. There is something I need to say, though, real quick. This is a product of, I'm sure I'm getting old in my failed memory, but there's one other person I need to recognize, and this is very important to us because this was a key person that was going to take us through trial, and that's Josh Hurwitz, the former United States Attorney for the District of Idaho who left office and voluntarily joined our office as a special deputy to help us. My apologies for the oversight as I wasn't reading my notes correctly.
That's
But
awesome.
thank you for that little interlude. Chief?
I guess my question is for Mr. Thompson, since you're still up there. You mentioned that lady was law and crime. You said that it was your decision to accept this plea agreement. It brings finality. He will die in prison. But Corporal Payne just said they don't know who the target was and why he targeted this house. Was there a reason why, as part of the plea agreement, you didn't require Ann Taylor to have her clients sit down with you all and to answer some of these questions?
I think that Judge Hippler addressed that today very, very well. Of course, Judge Hippler addresses everything very well, we've found. The law does not give the court or us the power to require a specific factual allocution. And just let me finish. And we recognize that. We recognize that we could have said, well, in order for us to move forward, we want a factual allocution. But I have to be perfectly candid. I don't believe that there's anything that would come out of his mouth that would be the truth. I don't believe that there's anything that would come out of his mouth that would be anything other than self-serving. And I don't believe there's anything that would come out of his mouth that would not further victimize the families. And so that just simply wasn't a factor. We made our decision based on our assessment of law and the facts. We made our decision based on being able to obtain accountability and certainty, not just for the victims' families, but for the communities and for the state. And that's where our obligations go. In the end, And the old Harry Truman thing, the buck stops on my desk. Well, that's what I got when I was elected prosecutor 33 years ago. I never dreamed it would involve something like this, but we don't shirk our responsibilities just because it got big and nasty.
I mean, you think they could at least have him do a signed, sworn statement saying this, and this. Obviously, he's already swearing that he's guilty and that he did these things, right? But at least a letter, something. I don't know. What do y'all think the family feels about that? That's tough, man.
Thank you. Corporal Kane and
I would want to hear it, even if I'm further victimized. I want to hear it personally.
Family told me that you called them every night during that nearly 7 p.m. time, even though you didn't have to. And I just think that goes to show. That being said, I'm curious as to where you think or believe the murder weapon is. Where you think or believe.
She's asking about the murder weapon. Where's the murder weapon? What happened to the murder weapon?
Well, I can just tell you, and forgive us if we go back and forth. It's just kind of how we roll. But there's no evidence that we found that would lead us to any specific, even general location as to where the murder weapon or the clothes have been. And we searched. I mean, the FBI, again, to their credit, we had folks doing soil samples and all sorts of things to try to come up with somewhere to start searching for these things, and we just never found it. As far as the forensics piece, I'll let Darren speak to that.
And on the weapon, it wasn't a lack of trying. Everywhere that we had evidence of where he went, based upon phone records, based upon the evidence that we had gathered, we searched that. We went there. We did searches on the ground, in the water. We did searches. We sent soil samples to try to figure out maybe where a shovel had been used. So we searched everywhere that we possibly could. But the reality is we're looking for a singular small, it's not that small, but K-bar knife, and that's it. So it's endless of where it could have been, and we just were not able to find it. So
what about the clothes and visibility, though, to avoid forensics at the scene, in a murder scene where we now know Kohberger himself was stabbed 34 times and another victim was stabbed more than.
Right. So the reality is that somebody can carry this out and still not get covered in blood. That's the reality of it, and this does happen, and there's plenty of studies of that. And we've had some of the world's experts that we've asked those same questions.
Which is insane.
Because we've struggled with that. Why do we not find more here and there? And the reality was, if somebody has the training, if somebody has thought about it, if somebody wears the right type of clothing, that could be the outcome, and that's what we were left with.
The right type of clothing.
Mr. Thompson, did you do psychological testing on Bryan Kohberger? Did that weigh into your decision to have a plea deal? And stabbings, multiple stabbings are very personal. How did you assess that mode of murder?
I can tell you that psychological testing was done with Mr. Kohberger. The results of that do not rise to a defense to his conduct under Idaho law.
Yeah.
The results of the various testing,
sense.
most of it done by the defense or on behalf of the defense, is also sealed by court order. So I can't speak to any specifics, but I can tell you, yes, psychological testing was done. I can also tell you that
Bryan can speak on it, though.
Psychological testing or any potential psychological condition of Mr. Kohberger, that did not play a role in our decision.
Bill, does it have any bearing on where he will be placed or housed?
Where Mr. Kohberger, where the defendant is going to be housed, is going to be up to the Idaho Department of Correction. And that could very well change over time. And the reality is we will know about it after it happens.
Over here.
Did you monitor Mr. Kohberger's communications while he was incarcerated? And did he say anything that was helpful or gave you any insight as to why he did this?
Yeah, we did monitor it, both while he was housed in Latah County and then once he was moved down to Ada County. We have hundreds, thousands of hours of monitoring that was done, but there was nothing of evidentiary value that was gained from any of it.
Will you be releasing those conversations?
It's my understanding that jail will not be releasing things that involve personal conversations with third parties. That ultimately would be a decision because the recordings are in possession of the two correctional facilities or detention facilities. But I'm pretty certain the Latah County Sheriff's Office policy does not allow for that, and I would guess Ada County is similar. You can ask them.
That makes sense.
Thank you. Greg Fisher with CBS News 48 Hours. Was there any evidence that Kohberger was following the social media of any of the victims?
So, trust us, we wanted that to be the case. We've looked for a link, and we have not found one. Not one.
Yeah, through the entire investigation, I think that's something that we need, that you want, is to help to understand this and say, well, what's the connection? What was the link? And so we had every resource possible, and we worked that tirelessly, both from everything from his side, but to all the victims and all the members of the House from their side. So we have never, to this date, found a single connection between him and any of the 4 victims or the 2 surviving roommates.
That's amazing.
Michael Ruiz from Fox News Digital. My question is for the investigators. You guys are going through this case. You got a lot of evidence about his background, his education, his training. You said earlier you couldn't identify a reason the house was targeted. Do you have a motive?
We don't.
That is wild.
This question for Anthony Gallagher, actually. I remember when Anthony was a cop, assigned to talk to us at the very beginning, all of this happened, and now you're running the show. So I wanted to ask, as a community member, has this case shaped and changed how you focus on Moscow?
It's changed everyone involved. How could it not?
Yeah.
It was a devastating tragedy to our community, and our police department is a part of that community, and it was very difficult for us as well. So, this is just one of those things that will not define us, but it is certainly a part of our history that we will never forget. Yes.
Rebecca Boone, Associated Press. The perhaps unprecedented level of interest in a court case like this in Idaho is matched by an extremely high level of secrecy within the case.
I'm trying to hear the question.
The Gonzalez family has said that they're desperate for answers about what happened to their daughter. Do you anticipate most of the court documents being unsealed, or are there things that you will specifically request remain sealed?
Yeah, she's asking about court documents being unsealed, and we know Steve, Kaylee's father, was talking about getting documents unsealed. We did a video about it, and we talked about it a couple of days ago. We're actually going to get into a press conference that Steve did with the rest of his family, talking about the information that they received from the court as to what happened to Kaylee. But the reporter is really trying to find out how much information are they expecting is going to be released and what that looks like.
As far as the court documents, Judge Hippler has told us that he is going to work with the attorneys to go through every sealed document. Many, probably most of the documents were sealed for the purpose of protecting against tainting a jury pool. And those documents I would expect would become unsealed. Requests for discovery, various things like that. There are also documents in there that contain very personal, private information regarding victims and families. I expect those likely will not be released under Idaho's protections against what the law calls unwarranted invasions of personal privacy. I realize that can be frustrating for folks who want to be able to explore this thoroughly, but we have to balance, and the law balances, the privacy of the people who have suffered, including the victims who are dead, with giving the public as much information as we responsibly can.
Alex Duggan, the spokesman for you. I'm just wondering, did a lack of knowing a reason or a motive concern you when prepping for trial? Because juries tend to want to explore the motive or reason for a crime. And also, how do you as investigators and attorneys grapple with that? Because if you can't rationalize something irrational, then how do you continue knowing that maybe you won't want an answer?
Well, I'll tell you from an investigator standpoint, we already know and realize we often don't get to know that. We want it. We all do. We naturally want that. But the reality is it's not something that we have to have or that we get. And the reality also is that oftentimes those very things that you're asking about, they're only known to one person. And it's the person that commits those crimes. And I think that's probably what we have here.
And I would add that going through this whole investigation, I'd probably say it's easier than it was for Bill's offices. We were focused on a task. We had a task to do, and it was discovering evidence and interviewing folks and that sort of thing. So the motive necessarily doesn't play a part in that, right? Obviously it can, but we were just focused on getting the job done in the correct way as best we could. So.
And from the prosecutor's point of view, yeah, certainly lack of a clear motive is something that we think about and consider as we're preparing for trial, because we're going to have a jury of 12, ordinary, honest citizens there who are wanting to figure this thing out. But we also, and I've also found that juries tend to follow the law. And even jurors who come in with strong feelings, they tend to follow the law that the judge gives. And there is no element of motive in Idaho law for murder. And so we set that aside as something that we were going to dwell on, whether there was clear proof of a specific motive, because we knew it wasn't legally required. And practically speaking, we knew it wasn't something that we possessed that we could give to the jury without speculating. And I'm sure as heck not going to stand in front of a bunch of 12 jurors and start speculating. We're going to give them the evidence, And the evidence in this case, what you heard at the time of his guilty plea back on the 2nd, that evidence was compelling, and it showed his guilt without having to worry about motive in a human sense. But thank you for the question.
That's a good question.
Did he say anything when he was arrested?
Yeah. So Brett, myself, and members of the FBI, we traveled back to Pennsylvania. We were there, and I know they hit on it earlier, but I'd be remiss without talking about the cooperation and the support that we had from them was absolutely incredible. From the time that we got on the ground with Pennsylvania State Police and with the FBI back there, it was unbelievable. Anything that we needed, they were there to facilitate it. So we helped to shape what that looked like, what the arrest looked like, what took place.
Yes, correct. Steve
Once
Gonzalez.
they hit the house on the search warrant and he was taken into custody, Brett and I were at another location, a barracks of the Pennsylvania State Police. And then he was brought to us and we conducted an interview with him that night there in Pennsylvania.
Can you talk about what he said?
So we went into this interview. We used a lot of influence and guidance from the FBI and their behavioral analysis unit. They helped us a ton in framing our interview strategy, rather. When we spoke to Mr. Kohberger, we kept it pretty surface level to begin with, the idea being get him to speak and keep him speaking. It was pretty surface level, and then when we tried to get into things a bit more detail, he decided to end the interview. That's pretty much
as soon as we tried to walk into the purpose of where
I
we're
wanna
there,
see
which
that.
obviously he knows we're detectives from Idaho. So that's when we really started to shut down, and then he just shut it down. So
What was his demeanor?
calm, relaxed.
say very similar to what you
Yeah.
see and whenever you see him in court.
Next question. Yeah, Mike Baker from the New York Times. I'm wondering if you can talk about Mr. Kohberger's family, whether you've got much cooperation, tips, input from them along the way.
Yeah, Bryan Kohberger.
The only thing I'm really able to talk about is that we didn't get any tips or any evidentiary items from the family. So, yeah. Down to that?
No.
Just wondering if you ever had any idea of what made Mr. Kohberger take the plea deal in the end.
No.
Okay. Can I ask a follow-up? I know the reports.
That was a short answer. You probably have time for a short follow-up.
There you go.
Can I also ask a follow-up to the investigators? I know there were some reports that there was Kohberger was hiding some container out of the house. Did you ever determine what that was?
No, and the belief was in one survivor roommates in her statement, and that's out there, was that she observed something in his hand when she saw him, but we don't know what it was.
You had an expert who was going to testify about
He said
taking
nope.
something off of his work computer. This software expert. Was there any evidence that he had tried to wipe anything from his phone, software-wise? The Barn particularly is the main.
Yeah, and so this kind of goes into the connection to the victims as well. That's a similar question. We had the world's foremost experts on this look into it, and there was evidence that he had used software to wipe many of his devices relatively effectively, so there wasn't much evidence obtained after that.
Including, I think he had two software, or was it just one software?
I think he had one active phone, but I don't remember, so don't quote me if he had more at his
One
home.
active phone? What do you mean by that?
Computer that he had wiped.
Yeah, he regularly used software to try to clear things off. He used VPN on his devices also.
Hey, back here. Evan Fixler with the Idaho Statesman. I'm hoping
Dang,
you can walk us
that's
through the decision
crazy.
to hand off the DNA process on the knife sheath over to Offram Labs, who's contracted by ISP, and then ultimately the FBI takes over that IgG process. And then Prosecutor Thompson, I'm curious if you had concerns about constitutional rights issues based on how the FBI conducted themselves in that portion.
I'll start and I'll
That's
speak
Suralis.
briefly to, when we were notified that we had a DNA from the knife sheath, and it was a single source male DNA, touch DNA, then we knew that we had capabilities to take that further. So that you're correct, the Idaho State Police has a contract with Offram Laboratories in Texas. So we flew that over there, and they started the process of working that, and what was the beginning of the IgG process.
interesting.
And at some point during it, we were working with the FBI, which we did closely throughout the entire case in every aspect of it. We talked and met with them, and they had further resources and some capabilities that we thought may get us somewhere quicker. And so we made the decision to then shift that to the FBI and continue that process there.
There you go.
And as to your question about legal concerns, my simple answer is no. I didn't have legal concerns about how the FBI conducted their IgG investigation. I know that was the subject of lengthy, detailed, painfully detailed motions and briefing, and Mr. Nye rose to the occasion and was able to address all of that. But in the end, it's simply no different than sending somebody undercover into any place to gather information. And I was not concerned about the legality of it. And the judge came through and made the right decision that there was no violation of the defendant's rights or anybody else's rights.
What information did they get, though?
Had he not
What was that
left the
like?
knife sheath behind, would you have been able to track him down?
We've talked about this ad nauseum, and the answer is yes. Through the car, most likely. We had some amazing people going truly line by line over tens of thousands of white Hyundai Elantras. So we believe we would have got to it through that avenue. The time frame for that is uncertain. It could have been a week later, could have been 2 months later. We just don't know. We would have found him. We would have found him.
There's a lot of
Yeah, but I want to know how that would have changed the case. I think is a better answer, because if you didn't have the knife sheath and you say, oh, you were in this area. Oh, you bought a knife. Oh, it looks like a knife was used in this crime. Oh, you must be the person that did this. I think that would be a little bit harder to prove. So it seems like that would have changed everything if they hadn't found the DNA from the knife sheath. Not, okay, we would have found him and known that he was in the area. His car being in the area and him searching for and buying certain things online, I don't think that's enough to get a conviction. But crazier things have happened.
questions in regards to that initial window. Brett and I made the decision on what that window was, even though the experts were saying there may be more years that match it. But the simple numbers that we began to look at were astronomical, of thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of these vehicles. So we chose to try to narrow it and start smaller. And then as we had to, we were going to open that up. But we both believe we would have gotten him through the car eventually.
A question for Mr. Thompson. Amanda Rowley with Crime 2. It appears that the plea deal, it felt a bit rushed. So the question is, why did it happen so quickly, considering some of the families were against it? And also,
Woo, as a prosecutor, how do you feel somebody says your plea deal felt rushed? Yikes, he's keeping his composure there, but somewhat insulting, I can imagine.
the Mogan family at the plea hearing mentioned saying that this is the best possible outcome. Just wondering, do you agree with that, or would you have liked to have seen a different outcome?
Well, I think we agree with the Mogan family. Our decision was that this is the best possible outcome, all things considered, and factoring into that the defendant was prepared to plead guilty as charged. Now, if that hadn't been a factor, we'd be picking a jury for trial starting right now, or starting this week. What was the first part?
Why was this such a quick? It felt rushed. So why did this happen so quickly, even though the family
felt rushed?
I hear you. The process moved quickly. There was no doubt about it. And like I outlined for the court earlier today, things changed dynamically the week following the June 18th hearings on the defense motion for a continuance and the alternate perpetrator motion, where Judge Hippler made it very clear that the defense was not going to prevail on either of those. And so the reality of trial was there, and there was nothing else in its way. We were continuing to prepare for trial. We've been doing that for months, and as I mentioned, that's me bringing Mr. Hurwitz in to help us because the Attorney General's office was not able, with the manpower, to help us all the way through trial. We were ready to go. When we were approached by the defense about the possibility of a plea, our first question was, is your client prepared to plead guilty? And it took them a little while to give us that answer. In the meantime, we reached out to the families, and we talked to the families, and we solicited their input, and we considered that in making our decision. The fact of the matter is, and I think Judge Hippler commented on this back on July 2nd when we were in court, is that the logistics of the upcoming trial, with 10,000 prospective jurors being summoned in, the court staff making arrangements and preparing to process that part of the case, dictated that if the case was going to resolve, it needed to resolve quickly. And so that kind of drove the pace over that weekend, the last weekend of June. At the end of the weekend, when we understood from the defense that the defendant was prepared to plead guilty, the court was notified the next morning, and the court wanted to move quickly to get a plea done on the record if it was going to be done, and if it wasn't, so we were not interrupted in our trial preparations.
The trial logistics were the main concern, just as Judge Hippler had said prior, right, with the jury as a factor and that sort of thing.
Yeah, the practical aspect is that the trial machine was running, and if it was going to be interrupted, that had to be known as soon as possible. I think that's the fairest explanation.
Great question here.
Yes, Michelle Benucci from 48 Hours. I just had a question about when you were looking into Kohberger's past. Was there any early sign of trouble, or what did his background look like?
Well, we can't go into his younger years. I believe that's actually still under seal. Correct me if I'm wrong. But what I can tell you is the things we do know about him was that his education led him down a path that was very much focused on forensics, crime scenes, that sort of thing. So that was really what we focused on in his background, is what led him down this path. How may he have prepared for this? And I think that was a big component of that, was just his schooling and his choice of potential future profession. So.
And just so there's no speculation here by what Detective Payne just said, documents under seal involving Mr. Kohberger's background, they may or may not be released down the road. I can tell you that there is no evidence of any criminal history of any significant nature. There was no evidence of a history of violence. There was no evidence, Payne just said. Documents Kohberger's background, can tell you that there is no evidence of any criminal history of any significant nature. There was no evidence of a history of violence. There was no evidence of a history of a factual predisposition to do the crimes that he committed here. So if there are any concerns among your listeners, and that everybody was just fine with our decision because there were families and family members who were not. And we accept that. We recognize that. It's just a fact of life.
Yeah. That's a good question.
The target is unknown. However, it's been speculated that the convicted may have encountered Maddie while she was serving at the Mag restaurant due to the vegan menu options. When his digital data was analyzed, were there any location pins or any information?
Wait, she said what? There was something about her working at a restaurant and they serve vegan options?
However, it's been speculated that the convicted may have encountered Maddie while she was serving at the Mag restaurant due to the vegan.
Oh, she said the victim. I think she meant the defendant.
The target is unknown. However, it's been speculated that the convicted may have encountered Maddie.
Oh, convicted.
While she was serving at the Mag restaurant due to the vegan menu options. When his digital data was analyzed, were there any location pins or any information there that could have connected him to where Maddie worked?
No, there wasn't. Like I said earlier, we wanted that. We looked for it in every possible way, digitally, financially, physical location, anything you could think of, anything that we thought, where is the connection? Where's the overlap? And we searched tirelessly and never found it. I can't say that he was never there at all, but we never found any evidence at all from interviewing everybody that we possibly could, talking to every person that would have that information to be able to show that he was there or that there was a connection through the restaurant.
Okay, last question here.
Just two follow-ups to earlier questions. First of all, my question about the family. You said that you did the evidence from the family. Was there any hindrance of the investigation from the family? And was there any specific evidence you were hoping to get?
Are you talking about his family, Kohberger's? Yes. There was not any hindrance, anything, nothing that impacted us carrying out the investigation.
Thank you. And then the second follow-up, when you mentioned,
that's a good question.
Follow this line of interest in the studies, did anything in your investigation indicate that that was chosen as part of a planning process as opposed to just an area of interest?
There was nothing aside from, we have some of his coursework where he did, a crime scene recreation, that sort of thing, but it was all part of his studies. So I don't think that any of us attributed that to a planning process per se. Certainly it was a learning process, but whether or not it was a planning process ahead of what he did, we'll probably never know that.
Yeah, and I would say we didn't find anything that would be any different than a student, a different student in the PhD program.
Gotcha. So then I'm understanding that the planning process, that you're in the investigation, it was from that purchase of the overnight on Amazon, which is the first, step toward.
Did he plan it? Did he buy it with the purpose of that? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
And we don't
have
know.
anything to show or prove that he did that.
Crazy.
Well, thank you all. That concludes our Q&A section today. Hopefully, we tried to get as many of you folks' questions answered as possible. I'm sure you're going to have further questions. And certainly the question was already brought up about public records requests. Just keep in mind that if you're looking for those in the future, you will need to go to each individual agency or entity that has the keepers of those records.
And as I mentioned before, the family does have a lot of information we're going to get into later, and a bunch of other videos will be dropping this week. Steve's got more information that was leaked to him. He's not saying who his source is, and we're going to hear from a former FBI agent on what she's seeing from some of the evidence that's been released. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Wild stuff here. We're going to get more information as the documents are released for you. Shout out to the game. We got over 1,300 of y'all in here. Oh my goodness. We got a lot more to get into, so y'all make sure you stick around. Like the video if you haven't yet. Likes are free, y'all. And I'm going to be begging for likes until I'm no longer on YouTube, which is going to be a while. So get used to it, just like the video. We've got a ton of super chats in here. Shout out to my guy, Will Wallace, in here, gifting 10 memberships. Oh my goodness. If you got a membership from Will, make sure you say thank you. All right, he's showing major love and support by gifting y'all memberships, giving you a chance to check out the members only content and get instant access to any video that we drop here on the channel. So big shout out to Will. We got Slim Life in the building as well. With the 10 bomb says, hey, ClassE, Amy, and fam, have a blessed day. And remember, God is good all the time, and all the time, God is good. Amen. If you're searching for that one person to change your life, take a look in the mirror. Love yourself. Love y'all. Shout out to Slim Life. I love that. We got Will Wallace in here again with the 20 bomb. He says, I don't believe in the death penalty. However, murder suspects should be forced to explain why they committed the crime with the lie detector in order to have the death row off the table. So you think it should stay in place just as a threat? Is that what you're saying, Will? Because what's the incentive otherwise? Because you can't say remove the incentive and then force them to do it. I don't know how the law would force them to do it. So you have to either say, let's use death row as a tool, like you're saying, to get these criminals to admit why they did it and how they did it and explain in detail, tell where the murder weapon is, so on and so forth. Where's the body? Or we get rid of it. So that's an interesting, I don't know if you say a paradox there, but that's you're at an interesting place, because if you remove the death penalty, then there's no reason for them to make a plea. Think of even Bryan Kohberger. If the death penalty wasn't in place, he's like, I'll just take my chances. I'm gonna be facing 4 life sentences anyway, so I'll waste their money. I'll waste their time. I'll get my shine. Y'all get to see my handiwork and what I did. And at the end of the day, if I'm found guilty, there's no point in me taking a plea. I mean, that's the whole way the justice system is structured. You can get a conviction by giving someone a lesser charge. In this case, the lesser charge was he doesn't have to face the death penalty. So it's a tough place to be in. You can't. I mean, what other reason would he have to take a plea? We got Amy here with the cake. The cakeiest cake in the building. Shout out to Amy. Bring that cake over here. It's lunchtime too. That's Amy's way of reminding me it's almost lunchtime. So we got to keep it moving through the show. Big shout out to y'all. Thank y'all for the support. All 1,400 of you in here. Thank you. So many of y'all liked the video. Thank you to 1,100 of you that liked the video. We're at about 70%, 80% of you that liked the video. If we could get about 300 more of y'all, I promise I won't ask again for the rest of the show. Well, okay, I won't ask again for the next 30 minutes, but either way. Thank y'all for the love. Most of you may be too young to remember BTK. Raider was his last name. He stood and told about every killing he did. Oh, I'm sure that was tough to listen to. He said, well, I hate to say that they have to keep it only under those circumstances. I see you, Will. Yeah, what are you going to do? Because if there's no death penalty, I mean, the only reason you would plead is like, hey, we'll instead of facing 4 life sentences, we'll give you what? I don't know. What would be the plea deal then? You almost have to keep it in place. She should have rejected him. Who knows? Oh, she could have rejected him. Who knows? We will never know. We won't. We really, really won't. All right, let's get into this ex-FBI agent I was telling y'all about. Because again, we've got so much we've got to get to. So moving along through this Bryan Kohberger coverage, we are now going to get to hear, according to TMZ, from an ex-FBI agent who breaks down some of the evidence and documents that are coming out when it comes to Bryan Kohberger and what his motivation might have been. So look at this. Bryan Kohberger, Kaylee derailed my plan to assault Maddie is who we're going to assume. So I disfigured her face, the ex-FBI agent says. Let's go ahead and just listen to the FBI agent because this take is crazy. Here we go.
Well, my view is that the reason that Kaylee was targeted and brutalized much more than the others, and now we see the autopsy reports, right? So when you look at them, Xana had 50 stab wounds, but many of them were defensive. They were primarily in the chest and in the abdomen. If you look at Ethan, he was stabbed in the very lower and mid part of the neck, in the jugular vein, and in the subclavian vein and artery. Wow. If you look at Maddie Mogen, she was also stabbed in the chest, perforating her lung and slicing open her liver. But when you look at Kaylee Gonzalez, beaten, near recognizable about the face. They discussed asphyxiation, which is in law enforcement terms, strangulation. They discussed 20 plus stab wounds, including in the neck area again and in the chest. When you look at the disfigurement and the strikes to the face that we now know about, it's clear to me, this is my opinion, that Maddie Mogen, I still believe this, even though law enforcement has come out and said there was no distinguishable target. I think it was Maddie Mogen. I say that because he went straight to her bedroom. But I believe he had intended to sexually assault her. I think this entire crime was motivated by that. And I believe that when Kaylee was in the bed and absolutely ruined his thought process of how this was all going to happen and play out, and he was going to be able to sexually assault Maddie after death, that was no longer going to be. And he took out all the wrath.
Oh, she said after death? Come on now. Jeez. Do y'all agree with that? Oh,
rage he had against her for ruining what I think was his vision. Furthermore, I think Kaylee certainly fought. We see in the Gonzalez family, Steve certainly and Olivia in their mother, even in the remarks that the sister, were read by her. This is a fighting family. I truly believe Kaylee woke up, and we know this because they said she had defensive wounds as well, and the fight was on. But I think his rage was really at the fact that Kaylee was responsible for ruining his plans on how that night would go.
That is insane. Bryan Kohberger butchered the face of Kaylee Gonzalez because she screwed up his plans to assault one of the other victims, Maddie Mogen, according to retired FBI agent. TMZ interviewed former federal agent Jennifer C., because I'm going to mess up her name, who has long studied and been a media consultant on the Kohberger case. And she's now sharing with TMZ her horrific theory of the convicted killer's motive. Jennifer says that Kohberger broke into the house in Moscow, Idaho, the fateful night in November 22 to forcibly assault Mogen in her bed on the 3rd floor. She says that Kohberger's plan was derailed after he stepped inside Mogen's room only to find her sleeping in bed with Gonzalez, one of her roommates. Jennifer says that Mogan was Kohberger's target because he went straight into her room, but he got pissed when he saw Goncalves, I always messed up her name, when he saw Kaylee there, making it virtually impossible for him to fulfill his twisted fantasies or desires. As a result, Kohberger took out his rage on Kaylee, stabbing her more than 20 times in the face until she couldn't be recognized, and also strangling her, according to Jennifer, citing the autopsy report. And we're going to get into the autopsy report shortly. Jennifer also says that Kohberger killed Mogan by slicing open her chest before murdering 2 more victims, Xana Coronado and her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin. The former FBI agent adds Kaylee ruined his plans on how the night would go. That's why her face was completely disfigured. Wow. We've got more, guys. We've got more here. Bryan Kohberger disfigured Kaylee's face. Xana Coronado put up an intense fight. So what happened? Bryan Kohberger brutally disfigured Kaylee's face and fought through a violent struggle with Xana Coronado, before fleeing the scene of the University of Idaho murders, according to newly unsealed police reports. We're going to get into the police reports here in a minute. Moscow police documents just released say that the November 2022 killings were even more savage than initially reported, describing Kaylee's injuries as so severe her face was left unrecognizable. The responding police officer noted the disfigurement in his report, while the others called the crime scene a bloodbath. On the floor below, Kohberger clashed with Coronado after she either saw or heard him kill her roommates upstairs. The police sergeant wrote that an intense struggle clearly took place and Coronado had deep defensive wounds between her fingers, evidence she fought for her life. My God.
So Bryan Kohberger is now officially behind bars for the rest of his life, but it's not over. There were documents that came out yesterday that are terrifying about what he actually did to some of his victims, but also what happened before the murders. There was an incident where a woman went to the police and said a couple of months before the murders, she had a match with Bryan Kohberger on Tinder.
Oh
she
my
actually
God.
had an interview with the police talking about this. And the police asked her about the interaction she ended up having with Kohberger. It's terrifying.
It's really, so basically this girl that only went by KC or C in the documents, she said that she matched with him about 2 months earlier before he murdered everyone, and said that she confided in him about how her friend was actually murdered a couple years before.
Her friend.
Her friend, right. So she said, yeah, my friend was unfortunately murdered in my hometown a couple years ago. And so then he spun that conversation to be like, oh, well, what kind of horror movies do you like? And she's like, oh, I like the Halloween movies, like the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. And then he asked her, what do you think is the worst way to die? And she said, probably by a knife. And he said, so like something to the effect of like a K-bar knife?
That's what he used.
That's what he used in the murders.
That is insane.
So creepy. She said she stopped talking to him because it made her uncomfortable.
But even worse was the disfigure. I mean, these police documents reveal that he disfigured the face of one of his victims.
Beyond recognition.
Beyond recognition. Kaylee Goncalves. Yeah, right. And I mean, just absolutely hard. I mean, this is.
There were 15 stab wounds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like.
I mean, this actually puts him in the category of somebody like the Night Stalker.
He is like Richard Ramirez was.
Absolutely.
And also, these documents confirmed that Xana, who's the brunette girl, she had like multiple defensive wounds on her hands, so she fought back. She fought for her life.
Now, there's also what came out was there is a guy, an inmate in jail with him that said he was just a weird dude.
So,
go ahead.
Well, he said that he was super annoying because he would wash his hands like dozens of times a day. He would stay up all night and nap during the day. So this guy couldn't sleep because he could hear him like, moving around at night.
And he also called his mom and spent hours on the phone with his mom. It was like a mama's boy.
Well, I mean, that to me is one of the weirdest things about this. That
that's tough.
His
That is
family
mom.
life was not, as far as I can, everything I know about it, was normal and even loving. That his parents were not these monsters, they were the opposite. And it's just one of those things you think there is really such a thing like as a bad seed.
What I found really interesting about that, though, was, well, first of all, they said that he would video chat with his mom all day. So I'm like, why does this guy get constant video chat mom privileges? But also, this is a new mugshot that we got from Kohberger, looking
Brand
as
new
creepy as ever.
Expressionless.
No emotion.
Hi, I'm Tyler Wells from Los Angeles, and I think what's most
That's
disturbing
sad,
about
man.
this new update is it suggests that Kohberger may have been fantasizing about this violence long before he acted on it. The way he brought up knives, including the exact murder weapon he used, and asked about the worst ways to die, it feels like he was testing the waters and almost exploring like this dark curiosity
He was
had.
obsessed.
So I think it begs the question, was this a fantasy for him?
I have absolutely no idea. I have no idea. To get into his head, I think, is impossible.
Well, I don't think it's impossible because we have one of his former professors who said she intends on talking to him. And I think that may be somebody that he speaks with in the future if we don't have a full-on documentary conversation, sit-down interview from Bryan, which is totally possible. According to the reports, Kohberger didn't flee until after the confrontation. According to the police, surviving roommate Dylan Mortensen told the police she saw a masked man walk past her room and exit through the sliding glass door, carrying what looked like a package. Though not confirmed in the reports, Mortensen accounts aligns with Kernodle having received a fast food delivery shortly before the murders, leading to speculation Bryan Kohberger may have grabbed it on his way out. Police say Ethan Chapin, Kernodle's boyfriend, was most likely killed in his sleep. He was found in the bed with the blanket partially covering his body. Mortensen recalled hearing screams, footsteps, and chilling male voice saying, "You're going to be fine. I'm going to help you." Before spotting Kohberger minutes later. Prosecutors now believe Kernodle may have not been a planned target, only encountering Bryan Kohberger by chance after the initial murders. Kohberger was sentenced to life in prison on Wednesday after admitting to murdering the 4 college students, with Goncalves' father, Steve, telling Kohberger he was a complete joke, adding from this moment on, the world would forget him. Well, I hope that is the case. I hope he doesn't have an interview. I hope they don't go and research and find out and spend time giving this guy a platform to figure him out or whatever it may be, because it would just be unfortunate for the family, especially after what the judge said, especially after what Steve said, that this guy would be given a platform to just sing his own praises. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. And I just found it looks like we're going to hear more about the autopsy, because I found a video that it looks like that was just released a few hours ago where we have more information about what's shown or what is being said in the autopsy. So we'll get to that in a second. A little bit of breaking news. But before we do, shout out to the gang in the building. Hold on, I'm missing somebody. Okay, here we go. We got a bunch of y'all showing major love with the super chat. Shout out to, oh man, I'm gonna mispronounce your name. Larry Lakin is in the building. Became a gold member. Thank you for being a member. Make sure you check out the members only content over there. Larry or Larly. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. And my guy, Dr. EJ, in here, always showing up in a major way, gifting 20 memberships. Dang. Thank you, Dr. EJ, for the love. If you got a membership from Dr. EJ, make sure you say thank you. Giving you guys an opportunity to check out the members only content and get instant access to any video that we drop here on the channel. So big shout out and thank you to Dr. EJ, always showing up and showing love. My guy, I appreciate you, man. I want to get into this next one because this is somewhat breaking news. It looks like we might have a little bit more of a breakdown of what Let me see. Of what went down, or what these autopsies, or what the autopsy shows. Let me see. Oh man, and then we've got so much information coming out about Bryan and what happened. Don't really want to. I'm hoping that we can move away a little bit from Bryan Kohberger specifically, just because I think it's time for his name to be silenced some. But I want to see what this autopsy says. Let me see. Police documents about Bryan Kohberger revealed chilling new details about unusual incidents before the murders. Let me see here. Okay, we might get into that in a second. We'll check out this video. Thank you to everyone who's in here. Yes, sadly for her, he had distinctive eyes. Yeah, imagine if he had met up with that person on Tinder and something happened there. Yeesh. People still use Tinder after all these stories we've heard about Tinder. Oh man, let me see. So let's get this autopsy covered because I want to see what's going on here. All right, y'all check this out. So in somewhat breaking news, as we know, a lot of the documents during this Bryan Kohberger trial, or this Bryan Kohberger sentencing, has been released. And now we're going to get to see what the autopsy is saying, what the autopsy shows, and maybe get some more information into what actually happened to these victims. So let's check this out from Court TV and see what they have to say.
This hour, we're bringing you a look at newly released documents in the Idaho student murders case. Now, these documents there's a lot of pages, but they're shedding light into what really happened to Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Hundreds of documents were released by the Moscow police within hours of Kohberger being sentenced to life in prison. Now, in the next part of this, we want to focus on the autopsies of two of the victims. Let's start first with Kaylee Gonsalves, who had 20+ stab wounds, and the document states that she had sharp force injuries, asphyxial injuries, blunt force injuries, and that her fatal injuries included lacerations in her left lung and liver, subdural bleeds, a stab behind her clavicle that cut her subclavian vein and artery. Phil, very hard to hear, but the reality is that is not one stab wound to the heart. That is not a quick get in, get out. That is purposeful, and she's moving, and Bryan Kohberger's going after her, and repeated stab wounds. The number of injuries surprises me a little bit when you hear all four were killed by one person in their home, 4 a.m. It happened, so many stab wounds, so many injuries.
It is shocking, right. Ashley. And the asphyxial injuries do make it appear that he was holding her down by her neck while he proceeded to just brutally stab her repeatedly. Just the number of the wounds and how deep and how brutal they are, it's not something you see. I mean, I have seen stabbing cases, but the reports in this case indicate a level of intentionality and force and a methodical approach that you really don't see very much.
Oh, Ted, it's horrific hearing these details.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And to your point, it's so many stab wounds. The rage that he had to have had, or something, whatever was fueling him. He doesn't know these people. Like, it's not the ex-boyfriend. It's not the husband or the wife killing the husband. Like a lot of the cases, these are four strangers, and he mutilates them. It is horrific. And look at Madison Mogen, her autopsy report, fatal injuries, lacerations to the left lung and liver. Maddie only had sharp force injuries. The weapon was very sharp. Suspect used a lot of force. Joanna, you said earlier it's hard. You're not going to be able to put yourself in the position of the person that, if you want to call him a person, that did this. But just from a logistical standpoint, to pull this off, you have to be physically and mentally in a state of where adrenaline's running through your body. It's just, he mutilated 4 individuals in a very short amount of time. It's horrible.
Yeah, it is terrible. Reading this is just as it shines this light and makes it very, very clear that there had to be something more to it. I think that's just what people want to believe.
And we heard from the FBI agent that said, yeah, it's most likely looking like Kaylee ruined Bryan's plans to attack and assault Maddie. And that's why we're seeing the brutality here. But it doesn't make sense why the others, and none of it makes sense.
Because it's like, how not only are you carrying this out and against 4 people, but stabbing tends to be so personal. Like you were saying, you see this in these dating relationships or where there's something that happened, and then you have the asphyxiation as well, like the strangulation.
Yeah, and I see you asking about what did they mean by a sharp force injuries, a different weapon. It's possible. I mean, he could have turned the knife the other way and used it to just bash. I mean, there's so many things that could have been done. He could have picked up something and use something else and taking that with him. Who knows?
Is some kind of like more personal type of crime that we typically see. And so those combination, when you see that for Kaylee, but you don't necessarily see the same report for Madison, it almost makes you wonder, was there something that triggered this between him and Kaylee that trickled over into the rest of the home, but was his intention really targeted towards her? Again, we don't know, but those little nuggets or clues that are left behind make you wonder that yes, they were strangers. They didn't personally know him, but was there some off the cuff remark or something that happened in a parking lot or some chance encounter at some point that really made them the target of his fixation?
And that's a great question too, because I want to move on from this just because the sound is so bad. And I want to get into this article from CBS News where they talk about some of the things that may have happened before Bryan Kohberger actually committed these crimes. And they say police documents about Bryan Kohberger revealed chilling new details about unusual incidents before the murders. In the weeks before Bryan Kohberger killed the University of Idaho students, there were strange happenings at their rental home near campus. One of the victims, Kaylee, told her roommate she saw a man she didn't recognize staring at her when she took her dog outside. Another time, the residents came home to find the door open, loose on its hinges. They grabbed golf clubs to arm themselves against a possible intruder, and they didn't call the police. Man, I would be out of there. Dang. Those details were included in hundreds of documents released by the police within hours of Kohberger's sentencing to life in prison on Wednesday for the brutal stabbing of the Idaho. They're calling the Idaho 4. We've got Kaylee, we've got Maddie, we've got Zana, and we've got Ethan. It remains unclear whether the strange happenings had anything to do with the killings, but the documents do illustrate the frenzied efforts by law enforcement to follow every possible lead to find and convict Bryan Kohberger. Here's a look at some information from the documents. They have the strange happenings here at the house and mention of a stalker. Bethany Fanuc, who was one of the 2 roommates to survive the night of the stabbings, in interviews after the murder, she told police that about a month earlier, Kaylee had taken her dog, Murphy, outside when she saw an unknown man up above their house to the south staring at her. It was concerning enough that Kaylee told everyone about it and called her roommates to ask if they'd be home soon, Fanuc said. A friend of Kaylee also told police that when she had lunch on September 11, 2022, she made references to having a stalker, according to documents. Wow. The friend thought Kaylee said something about receiving something in the mail. Some of the other friends at the lunch thought Kaylee also mentioned getting a strange message through Facebook Messenger, the police report says. Well, it might have been from Bryan, it might not have. We heard from the FBI agents in the previous video that they looked into all of Bryan's social media and they could not find anything that tied Bryan or that showed that Bryan was connected to any of them in any way. So on November 4th, 9 days before the attack, the roommates came home at 11 a.m. to find the door open, loose on its hinges as the wind blew. Kaylee was away at that time. Kernodle's father fixed the door, Fanuc reported. On November 13th, police found a gruesome scene, obviously blood pooled on the bed comforters, covered floors and wall splatters, and was splattered on the walls. One victim, Kernodle, had extensive defensive wounds in her arm. It was obvious an intense struggle had occurred, and one officer wrote. And then we have some details about the investigative steps. Boy, a lot of this is hard to read and hard to see. I'll drop this article, link to this article in the description for you all. And as we know, and we heard from the press conference from law enforcement, that Bryan, he spoke with the police, he told them what happened, and then he eventually shut down the interview. So will we hear something from him as to what went down, more information on what led up to that? I don't know. I kind of somewhat doubt it, but it's possible seeing all what's going on. So let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat. Oh man, what does Amy have to say? Amy says Kaylee's sister, Olivia's speech was the only one Bryan heard. For anybody who hasn't followed this case closely, the statements where she says, "Please detail, please describe," are her mocking the questionnaire he put out for an assignment in a thinly veiled oh, I missed something here. She hit him where it hurts, his ego. It's all he has left. And the only thing that matters to him, trust me, he heard this. My favorite part was, "Now look at you, begging the courtroom for scraps." She said that was savage. All the other emotions intrigued him, and he felt nothing. His body language was consistent with this. Oh man, she's still typing, so I'll get into it in a second. Shout out to Amy though. Say, "It was brilliant and sit straight up when I talked to you." Yeah, she was not having it. Oh man, this stuff is so heavy, man. I'm trying to get through it, but I feel for these families. I feel for the victims. I can't imagine my child, someone I love, having to go through this. It's intense. And we're going to get into the press conference from Steve here shortly. As many of you know, when it comes to this trial that was going to happen and now the sentencing of BK, we've got Steve here. Steve is has been one of the most outspoken family members of the victim that we've seen throughout these court proceedings so far with Bryan Kohberger. And now they had a post-sentencing press conference where they share more information that they were able to receive from their inside source. So let's go ahead and get into it here. Man.
The families as they answer your questions. Thanks so much.
Well, it's almost been 3 years, and today's the end of a long, hard-fought battle. But we have our person, and we have him where he belongs. So for that, we are thankful for all the men and women that put the work together, put this case together, and once it's part of the court system, it was a little ugly, but we got that conviction, and we're glad to be moving on. Glad we can move on.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Steve, the family or the judge talked about how we may never know why, and it may not be worth it to try to answer the why with something so sensitive. You can't make sense of it. What do you feel about that?
There's some truth to that, but then, you know, there's also the fact that, I mean, what would he tell as a lie as to opposed to the truth, you know? So
The knife, if he gave the knife up, or if he gave a part of his kill kit, if he gave out facts that only the killer would know,
it would corroborate things.
It would corroborate things, and he even addressed there's been way too many conspiracies, and the surviving witnesses had to go through hell. Well, no better way to protect them than by getting some of those details. If you got those details, then
that's a fair point.
As simple as just saying I did it solo would have been, valuable, I think. And we stand by the negotiation wasn't justice. It was just it was a shortcut, and we said from the very beginning we're not interested in a shortcut for our daughter.
Yeah.
We wanted everything.
I feel that.
You turned the podium at one point. Talk to us about why you wanted to stare at him face down.
Because he's a coward. He's been protected by the court from day one, the minute that he was arrested.
Dang.
So wanted to let him know that I was directing everything towards him, and his days of being protected are coming to an end. From what I've been explained, he gets on a van today, and he's got like 12-minute ride, and then he'll be the responsibility of Idaho State.
Were you planning on turning the podium though, or did you do that in the moment?
I remember reading it saying "do not move," so I was like, well, I'm moving this. I just kind of made that decision right then and there.
Wow.
So, I want to make it as difficult as possible. I knew my daughter was going to do a speech, and I'd heard it, and I was like, he's going to hate this. He's going to hate this next set of people that are going to come forward and really rip into him and really expose him for what kind of a piece of trash he was. And we've been waiting a long time to say some of those things that needed to be said.
Stephen Jr., you chose not to speak. Speak now, is there anything to say?
I've written up a statement. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe this is where you do.
Okay. Well, allow me a second.
Maybe it wasn't court appropriate.
Yeah, definitely wasn't. Yeah, my name's Steve Gonzalez. I'm Kaylee's older brother. She was my little sister, my friend, the middle child in the heart of our family. There are no words that can fully describe her spirit, but if you knew her, you knew joy, you knew light, you knew someone who made everything better just by being in the room. My statement was largely grounded in one goal, and that was to do everything for anyone who listens to this and has to go through something similar, to not have to endure what we had. My family's fought tirelessly, not just for answers, but for accountability. We've stood in front of cameras, behind closed doors, and across from people who didn't want us to speak, but we did, and we won't stop now. Across nearly every murder case prosecuted by Bill Thompson, including the killing of University of Idaho football player Eric McMillan, there is a clear and troubling pattern. Families are left feeling unheard, justice is negotiated down through plea deals, and the public is left with unanswered questions. In the McMillan case, charges were reduced from first-degree to second-degree murder, prompting confusion and outrage from the victim's family and community.
Yeah, this is a family I can relate to, because they wanted blood, man. You took one of ours, we got to take. Hey, man, you got to pay. You don't just get to sit there and watch Netflix and email people and possibly get interviews and just live out the rest of your days. I get it. I 1000% get it. And Steve said, I held back because I didn't want the judge to yell at me. It's understandable.
In outrage from the victim's family and community. The same pattern is emerged in the Silas Parks and John Lee cases, both of which prosecuted by Bill Thompson. Where capital eligible crimes were resolved through plea agreements, sidestepping trials and diminishing public accountability. The most egregious of these crimes was the brutal killing of Whitney Parks, a young pregnant woman whose life was taken by her husband Silas Parks during a violent domestic assault. Whitney was only 22 years old. Whitney was beaten and strangled in her own home, an act of cruelty that not only ended her life, but also the life of her unborn child. And yet, despite the devastating nature of this crime, Bill Thompson reduced the charges from murder to voluntary manslaughter. Ultimately securing a sentence that allowed Parks the possibility of parole after just 5 years. There was no trial, no full accounting of what Whitney endured, no acknowledgement in the legal outcomes of the child she was carrying. For Whitney's family, and for anyone who believes that justice system should speak forcefully for victims, this wasn't justice. It was a deal, and it was like so many others under Thompson's watch. It prioritized expedience over accountability. Now, almost predictably, we find ourselves reliving that pattern in the current case. Despite the magnitude and brutality of the crime, the prosecution chose to accept a plea deal behind closed doors, without trial, without ever consulting our family in any meaningful way. In fact, we learned from the plea deal that had been finalized from an email from the prosecution team. Not in person, not with warning, not with respect. That moment underscored what we feared all along, and that this case was following the same well-worn path toward expedience over justice. Sentencing once again fails to reflect the severity of the act, and the emotional fallout has landed again on the shoulders of the victims' families, who have been left out, unheard, and grieving not just a horrific loss, but but a system that continues to bypass them. The through line is undeniable. Whether it's 2004 or 2025, this prosecutional, is that a word? Sorry. Prosecutional approach has consistently abandoned the very approach it is, or the very people it is supposed to protect. The trend you'll notice from Thompson's prosecuted crimes are the following: plea bargains avoiding capital punishment, charge reductions, sentences that misalign with the gravity of the crime, lack of trial due to plea bargains. These aren't just failures in process, they're failures that have real consequences for real people. After reviewing Bill Thompson's history, it's clear our family was never given a fair chance at justice. But this isn't just about a prosecutor's record, it's about Kaylee. It's about my sister. She's not just one of the Idaho 4. She was a daughter, a sister, a best friend, and the light in every room she walked into. When the prosecution followed the same path we've seen before, closed doors, limited input, and a plea deal handed down without our voice, it became painfully clear that Kaylee was being treated just like another case.
Yep,
but she wasn't. Steve. She was everything to us, and our pain has only deepened, knowing that the system didn't fight for her the way she deserved. I'll leave everyone with this. There's 1,000 things I wish I could say to Kaylee, but today I'll just say this. I will always carry her with me for the rest of my life, and I will never stop being her brother.
Dang, Steve was cooking. We talked about this system. They want to call it the justice system. No, it's not. There's no justice here. What true justice is, I don't know if we'll ever know until we meet the creator one day, but this does not seem like it. This man was given a break. We've been talking about it in the chat. He was given a break because prosecutors, DA's office, they want smooth, easy, simple convictions. You want to take a plea? Fine, take a plea. Just admit what you did. We'll lock you up and you go sit over there and watch Netflix. Don't worry about it. The family, we hope you guys will be okay. Sorry, we have a job to do here, and we got our conviction. It's about the convictions. The family, can their input be factored in? Sure. But at the end of the day, as Steve reminded us, it was about Bill Thompson, what Bill Thompson thought was best, and what Bill Thompson thought should be done. In this case, with everything that we've seen so far, and based on what the prosecutors say, and based on what the confident state police, local police, FBI said, should have been a walk in the park. Expensive? Who cares? They wanted to see this man convicted and charged and sentenced to the fullest extent of the law. Instead of that happening, he was given a break by prosecutors. The jury should have seen this. They should have been able, and they should have been given the chance to say, this man deserves X, Y, Z. It was taken away. That chance was taken away. And I hate this for the family. And I think Steve and Steve Jr. are all saying what a lot of the other families would like to have seen happen, is this man be punished to the fullest extent of the law. He got a break, and that's why we are where we are now.
Steve,
thank you.
Now that the gag order is lifted, is there anything that you've learned over the last 2.5 years from the investigators or the prosecutors that you can share with us now that you can speak about?
Well, I think it was kind of interesting that once the president sent a truth statement out, they called us right up and they told us everything. So I don't know what was holding them back before, but we spent about 3 hours, close to 3 hours with the lead detectives, and yeah, we found because our main thing was we didn't want to have victims advocate statements that had lies and misquotes and misinformation in it. So I appreciate the president, putting a little bit of pressure on there, and it seemed to work. Up until that time, they told us they were not going to tell us, and we were going to have to just wait for the things to be unsealed. But yeah, it was horrific what Kaylee went through. Yeah, and I don't want to protect this guy, but I won't give out all the details. I'll be general, but yeah, she was stabbed over 30 plus times, and she was struck, and there was quite a bit of damage to her face. So this guy's just an absolute monster. Anyone who thinks that he's otherwise, I just looked at pure demons out there. When I was looking at him, we had a stare down, and he's just filled with demons. He's dark pits of eyes, and there's something seriously wrong with that man.
Steve, why was it important for you to look him directly in the eyes? And what did you say as you spoke to him?
I looked him straight in the eyes, and I just seen black holes. And just anger at me. He was telling me with his face that he fucking hated me. He absolutely fucking hated me.
And why did you want to speak to him directly that way?
It's the most personal one. Like, look at me in my eye. You took my daughter's life. Look at me.
Yeah,
Did your family get something today that it needed? What's this?
Yeah, 100%.
It's a little early to actually even answer that for myself. I think that kind of stuff needs to set in and sink in, and you regret maybe saying some things, or you wish that you would have said things. So I think right now we're just kind of in the mix of the tornado and the real feelings.
As the spotlight then fades, what do you want the public to remember? Did you
our main thing is hopefully this could be a template for another family that you can use the media as much as they're using you. You can use it to keep people accountable, keep people honest, keep the court system, treating you with a little bit of respect. And I think that's what we did. And the more that you get active, I think the more chance that you're going to get that justice in the end. I think you really got to try to make your kids stand out, or whoever you're trying to protect, you make them real. Get on the internet and talk to people.
Before you go, and I know you want to go, I want to ask. Olivia today was spectacular. But Olivia asked the question, what was the other weapon you used on my sister? So despite this meeting you had with the prosecutors,
it's hard to hear these
sounds
questions.
like there's something you don't know there. Can you explain that to us?
No, we do know that another weapon was used on Kaylee. So we don't know what that weapon was. But
okay, so there was another weapon. Did he take something with him in the bag that he was seen leaving with by Dylan? No. Did he use, as I said earlier, did he maybe use the back of the knife as a weapon? Did he use the side of the knife as a weapon? What could have happened?
They didn't recover it.
along with the knife wasn't recovered, but Kaylee was not just stabbed. There was other things that happened to Kaylee.
Talk about that a little bit. The conversation we had with the prosecution was about healing more than anything. It was about giving the victims' families answers. And they may share some of that information at a later date, but today is not the day for that. Today is about the sentencing. It's about putting the defendant in prison for the rest of his life. So there may be more details to come about that, but that conversation that they had was about the healing process and finding some answers that they had. And so we may share at a later date, but today is not the day, okay?
Yeah, and again, shout out to Steve for that great. I love that he focused on the prosecutors in this instance, because we wanted to all see it not purely based on us just wanting to watch the trial and see it play out. We want to see the evidence. We want to hear the story be told. And we want this man, if he's guilty, to be charged to the fullest extent of the law, not just given a break because he's like, I really don't want to face a firing squad. So, all right, let me sign this and go chilling myself for however long I get. So I definitely with them on this one. I would feel the same way about this. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Man, I just can't imagine. I cannot imagine going through something like this. And thank God I never have, and I never will. This is why voting in these local elections matter. Get a voice in who makes these decisions. Even if I get that and I agree 1000%. But I think in this instance, even with Bill Thompson, I think we got to give him his flowers. He did an excellent job with this investigation, with the pre-trial, with everything building up to this point. And at the end of the day, the way the system is set up is, hey, like this trial is going to cost us X, Y, and Z. We get a conviction. He's never going to be out. We're keeping him out of the general public, right? Which, as Will was saying, it's not necessarily about taking his life. It's about removing him from society. This man's going to be removed from society forever. Bill Thompson talked about that in the press conference we saw. He's removed. We did our job, is what he says. But when it comes to the families and how they feel about it, it may be a different case. So prosecutors, they have a job to do. And Bill Thompson, at the end of the day, he did his job. It's sad, but that's the way the system is set up. I don't know how the prosecution team could sit there with no emotions for these family statements. I don't think any of them shed a tear. Well, Bill allegedly got choked up as he went throughout that, but I think Steve is right. They look at this as another case and they say, hey, let's go have some beers. We got this one done. I don't know. I think they're human too. So I'm sure they can relate in some ways, but I'd be surprised, to be honest, if this was the worst case that Bill's prosecuted in his career, even. No justice for anyone. I agree. Look in my town, a guy murdered 2 people and they managed to get elected as mayor. Oh my goodness. He's going to be a thorn in the side while he is alive. Yeah, and their daughter's gone. Shout out to Will. Speaking of, oh my goodness, Will is going crazy. A major sponsor of today's show with the 50 bomb. Appreciate you, Will. Shout out. Thank you for the love, man. He says after the 15 minutes, he'll be serving a very long isolated bid. He can't live in Gen Pop because he has to live with other lifers, murkers, etc. He'll get mollywopped every time the cell doors open. So SHU only for dude. Maybe he'll do it himself. Maybe he'll do himself a solid. Shout out to Will for the 50 bomb. Thank you. And Will, first of all, thank you for the support, man. You go the extra mile in showing love. The major super chat. And yeah, he's probably going to be by himself, just chilling, which, I mean, he's probably used to. He's got email. He's going to be able to respond and talk to his family. The reason I know this, guys, is we saw a special, or we saw an investigation that was done by Newsweek where they went into, or News Nation, excuse me, they went into where Bryan Kohberger is going to be held. They talked about some of the things he's going to experience there. And this man, he's going to have email. He's going to have Netflix. He'll have cable. He's got this whole library. He's going to be living a decent life. And yes, he's going to be isolated and away from people. I don't know how that's going to affect him, if it's going to affect him. But he may have felt isolated all along. So maybe this, I don't know. If I were a member of one of these families, I don't want to see that. That's going to be tough and hard for me to accept. He's a loner. He doesn't care. And that's possible. The defense had no emotion. The prosecution was emotional. We also have to bear in mind BK has rights too. Unfortunately, yes, you even have rights when you kill somebody. Whether we like it or not, the families don't get a say on his plea deal. The system is tough. This system is wild, guys. Yeah. And thanks, Will, for clarifying. He said SHU is segregated housing unit. Yep. And I mean, I think they said they had 3 other people who were on death row that are in there. So maybe he'll be somewhere with them, but they'll most likely keep them separated as well. I don't know. This is tough, man. All right, we got to move. We're going to move on for this topic for a little while. I think we've had enough of BK. Thank y'all for supporting. And 100% of you liked the video. Thank you. Thank you. 1,500 of y'all have liked the video so far. Thank y'all so much. And I don't have to keep begging, so I'm not going to beg anymore. But if you're just joining us, make sure you like the video. We still got some more to get into. It's the hole in jail prison, isolated for 23 hours a day, 1 hour out, shower in his cell. Yep, and we saw a picture of it. If y'all haven't seen that, go check out the video where we oh shoot, I just realized I didn't get a picture of this guy. Oh yes, I did. Go check out the video where I talked about it, and it gives you an inside look of where Bryan Kohberger is going to be. He sits alone with his sick thoughts. Yeah, but he'll still have access to a lot, too much, in my opinion. But as someone said and made a great comment and a great point, it's prison. It's not torture. And what a lot of us, Slim Life is saying, which video? I'll find it for you right now. So we covered it 2 days ago. And the video is titled, hold on a second. I'll drop a link for it or to the video in the chat for you. The video is titled Bryan Kohberger's New Home is Insane. And here's the link for y'all in the chat. Let me see, get shareable link. And I'll drop it in the chat for you. There you go, Slim Life. Y'all check it out. So let's go ahead. We're going to move into this. So where is Mr. McNeil at? Let me make sure I got this right. All right, we should be good. So y'all check this out. Now, I know all of you have heard about this gentleman, Mr. McNeil, a guy who was in an interaction, an altercation with the police. The man is sitting inside of his car. Police pulls him over for allegedly not having his lights on during a storm or during inclement weather and not wearing a seatbelt. They go back and forth. He gets inside the car, him being Mr. McNeil, locks himself in the car. The police go back and forth with him. He locks the door, doesn't put the window down. They bust the window. He gets punched in the face and so on and so forth goes on. So there was a lot of back and forth. People were saying he's stupid for acting that way. Other people were saying that he should have just complied, let the police do what they did. Third group of people were saying the police were completely wrong in this. They should have left him alone and let him go. So now, shout out to Amy over here. And you can check out this full body cam footage on her YouTube channel. I'll leave a link to this in the description as well as in the chat for y'all. We finally got the body cam footage where we're going to be able to see what all went down, what happened when the police pulled up, how this man was dealt with. You guys give your opinion. Let me know what you think about this. Who is in the wrong is the question here. Check it out. And the sound will kick in.
Yeah, Florida 24 Bravo Echo Charlie Whiskey on a silver Kia. I know that.
1050 westbound Commonwealth 24 Bravo Echo Charlie Whiskey.
Yes, sir. Is there a reason why you're popping the door open like that?
I don't have a window that works. Is there a reason that you're pulling me over?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why I'm pulling you over. For one thing, inclement weather, you don't have your lights on. Two things, you're not wearing your seatbelt.
It's daylight. I don't need the lights. And it's not weather. It's not raining.
Oh, this is inclement?
It's not raining.
Okay, I'm not arguing with you. I'm telling you why I'm pulling you over. Give me your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance.
No, call your supervisor. Why?
Excuse me?
Call your supervisor. Why did you pull me over?
27, 35. I'm proper driver. I've already told you.
Why did you pull me over?
Step out of the vehicle.
No.
Step out of the vehicle.
Now, again, if you've been on this channel, you know how I feel about this. You do have certain rights. And there's certain places you can argue those rights. When a police officer giving you certain simple instructions, you asked him why you got pulled over, he told you. He asked you for your registration license, you say no. You want to argue you have a right to do that, fine. But don't slam your door and argue with the police officer in the situation. This officer doesn't know what you're doing inside your car. He doesn't know what you're doing. If you're grabbing something, going back and forth, he asks you to step out of the car. Man, come on, dude. Oh, but it gets worse, guys. Hold on. We're gonna hold everybody accountable here. Don't worry.
For 9-4, the driver just slammed the door and locked it.
Call your supervisor.
Yep.
Commonwealth.
25 seconds. If anybody responded, come in from Commonwealth, block the vehicle, please.
Well, I'm coming west on Commonwealth. I'll be there in a sec.
Keep your hands where I can see them, sir. Yep, my camera's on too. I've already told you. Okay. Okay. Right now, you're under arrest for resisting. You understand? You're under arrest for resisting. The longer you take us on, the worse it's going to be. Keep your hands where I can see them, sir. Okay. Sir, this is your last warning to open the vehicle and exit before we're going to break the window. Open the door and exit or we are going to break the window. Open the door and exit or we are going to break the window. No, he's under arrest. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting.
I mean, God. That's 7 times. Open the door and exit. You're under arrest for resisting. You can hear his voice elevates with every time he says this. But man, this has got to be irritating. I get it. And this gentleman thinks he has certain rights. Fine. You can argue those rights in court. It gets worse.
Vehicle's blocked in. He's locked it up. He's putting the window down on the passenger side to talk to 2574.
You see him, he's locked and loaded, getting ready to bust that window because he knows what's about to happen.
Hey, I'm about to break the window. I'm about to break the window.
All right, go for it.
Exit the vehicle now! Exit the vehicle!
There you go.
Show me your hands. Here.
1033 at 16:21 hours.
Now, you can't see it on this body cam footage, but we'll play the original video later that Mr. McNeil took, because in this instance, he does get punched by the police officer. Not great. Not great on the police officer's part. And we're going to find out what happened to him a little bit later in another video.
What is your reason? Step out. What is your reason? Step out now. Get on the ground. No, don't touch it. Get on the ground.
This is hard to watch. Dude's getting his face pushed into the pavement. Definitely tough. They're asking him to comply. He's got his arms behind his back. I don't know what they want him to do here. This is not great on the police department's part. Highly unnecessary. This man finna get paid.
Hands behind your back. I'm resisting. Hands behind your back.
And he's pushing this man's head down. Tell him to stop resisting.
What you mean? I was putting my hands behind my back. I was gonna walk. Ain't no talking now, man. Ain't no talking. Fucking talking shit, bro. I'm doing, bro. What's going on, man? You're under arrest. That's what's going on. No, bro. Yes, bro. Yes. That's a lawful reason, bro. You gonna throw my phone like that, bro? Yeah, I'm gonna take it off now, bro. And I'm just trying to have a regular conversation with you.
You just gotta see what the already.
So your partner didn't even ask. Marijuana in his right pocket. Yes, it is. So why close the door if you see him pull up? Because, man.
He said marijuana in his right pocket. Yo, this is just a whole mess. Everybody was mess. Everybody was messy in this. Now, is this gentleman, Mr. McNeil, gonna get paid? We'll have to wait and see. It's looking like he possibly could get paid. What's going to happen to the police officer? We're going to talk about a little bit later. One officer, he's been assigned to desk duty, not been removed. But the officer that was going Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield out there, yeah, he's on desk duty right now. But we'll keep.
Hey, what you mean? He talking about arresting me and stuff, bro. I didn't do nothing.
It's called resisting, idiot.
I didn't do nothing wrong, bro.
I don't know.
Can you back me up to the car so I can lean up? What up? You done bust my bro.
25 cents. You start rescue.
Not too much happens after that. Again, I'm going to leave the link in the description to Amy's channel where y'all can go and watch the full rest of this video. This could have been prevented in so many ways. On the police officer's part, on Mr. McNeil's part. But now, because things escalated, somebody decided to throw a punch. We're looking at an entirely different situation. Because if it had went a different way, and they busted the window, they pulled this guy out of it and threw him on the ground, even pressed on his head a little bit, I don't think we're talking lawsuit. We're not talking somebody be put on desk duty. Now things escalated and it went a different direction. It's all going to be pointed at the police. Who do you guys think is in the wrong here? Is it Mr. McNeil? Is it the police department? Is it both? Who has the responsibility in this type of situation? If you don't know my take on this, I think if you watch the channel enough, you can get a pretty good idea. This all could have been prevented in so many ways. It could have been a lot worse. As much as these police officers, I think, crossed the line with this man shutting his door and the police officers not being able to see where his hands were, the fact that this man had drugs on his person, thank God it wasn't worse for Mr. McNeil. Hopefully it was worth it. We'll have to wait and see. Why does this keep happening, guys? Why? I see some of y'all sending in some more super chats. Shout out to Will Wallace in the building with the 20 bomb. He says, I have to pay to say you don't have to, Will, but I appreciate it. Dude was absolutely wrong. You have to comply with the officer, especially when he says, step outside the vehicle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. I'm going to finish reading Will's comment in a second. Mr. McNeil, he got lucky here. I mean, resisting is not that big of a deal, but he got lucky. The police officers stepped over the line. He got lucky that the police officers, as much as we don't want to say it, showed some restraint. He catches the wrong officer on the wrong day. He slams his door and he looks like he's fiddling around in his car. We've seen this movie before, guys. And I don't want another t-shirt because somebody thought they had rights that they didn't have. Will says, dude was absolutely wrong. You have to comply with the officer. Closing the doors gives the officer the right to forcibly remove him and put him under arrest. Can't let our children think this is okay. No, not mine don't. Mine don't think that. It's got to take it. That's why we got to talk about this, because people, like, they watch YouTube and they do their little research and they think, oh yeah, I break the law, I don't wear my seatbelt, I still have rights. You don't argue it in court, man. If you get pulled over, you got to argue it in court. You got to go through the process. That's the society we live in. Police officers are out there to protect us. Some don't, some do. And if they see you driving around without your seatbelt, he told you didn't have your seatbelt on. Well, you're gonna get a ticket, pay $25, and that's it. Or you go to court and you say, hey, I don't know why this guy pulled me over, he's harassing me. I got it on video, I was wearing my seatbelt, such and such. And you go through the process. All this, like, why? Amy's giving spoilers in the chat because we're gonna get into it here in a second. McNeil pleaded guilty to resisting arrest without violence and driving with a suspended license. What? Brothers and sisters, driving with a suspended license. McNeil pled guilty to resisting arrest without violence and driving with a suspended license. Other traffic charges were dropped. He served 2 days in jail. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump and Harry Daniels have been retained to represent McNeil. We're going to get into that a little bit later. They assert the video shows clear police brutality and racial bias. He's driving a suspended license and he didn't have his seatbelt on. What racial bias? The video does not show. This shows a bunch of people being dumb. The video does not show that. They argue McNeil was never interviewed by a state's attorney's office during the internal interview, which cleared the officers of wrongdoing. Crump called the review process whitewash. McNeil's legal team is now exploring a federal civil rights lawsuit against the department. McNeil and his family publicly voiced the need for accountability to prevent similar misconduct in the future. McNeil questioned a traffic stop, asked for a supervisor, and then was punched and dragged from his car. Oh, we're just going to skip the part where he hopped back in his car and slammed the door shut after being asked 7 times. Listen, we can give equal accountability here. Dang, man. I'm not saying he wasn't punched, but let's tell the whole story. He suffered from, a chipped tooth, concussion, and facial lacerations requiring stitches and memory loss. He's gonna get something, I think. CPE in here with the 5 bond says, have a blessed weekend, gang. Tomorrow is never promised. Reach out to somebody who you haven't spoken to recently. See everyone again on Monday. Appreciate you, man. The guy had a 12-inch knife in the car that was found after the fact. They were suspended due to child support, I heard. Oh, that's tough. Dang. For real? Driving around with a suspended license because not paying child support, allegedly? It's not a racial issue, just a lot of dumb people. Exactly. Yeah, the dumb dude slamming his door. Why give the officers a reason to use force in the first place? If you believe there's all this racial stuff when it comes to police officers and black folks, why? 7 times he said, man, get out of the car. You're under arrest. Get out. What do you think you're going to argue with the police officer? Say, no, I'm not under arrest, officer. I don't know. Maybe somebody can show me a case where a police officer has said, you're under arrest. And you haven't been under arrest. I might be missing something. I don't know. Crazy. Y'all go check out that full video on Amy's channel. Well, we've got some more news when it comes to Mr. McNeil, and we're going to talk about it here in a second. Let me get my headline updated. And again, shout out to everybody who's showing support. I had so much more I wanted to cover with y'all. We're going to get through it. I'm going to make these quick. I got to make these quick because we got to get to this, because I can't just stop in the middle of the story and not tell y'all what else happened. So it gets crazier. Let me see. Oh, see, Amy's not asking y'all to like the video anymore, but I'm gonna ask. Thank you to everyone who's liked the video so far. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, let me put that back up there real quick. I'm gonna keep asking the whole show. All right, here we go. So now that we got to see what happened with Mr. McNeil, we got to see the body cam footage. We got to see his version that he recorded, him getting knocked out, him getting the concussion and lacerations from his police officers. Now we're going to actually hear from him, find out what went down, what he experienced, and what is going to happen, possibly happen moving forward. Check this out.
We're joined now by William McNeil and his attorney, Harry Daniels. We thank you both so much for joining us tonight. William, let's start with you. Walk us through what happened and what led you to turn your camera on and start filming on your phone.
Well, the officer put his hand on his gun and reached out for me, so I closed my door and started recording. I did what was best. Yeah, so on.
They said your headlights were not on and should have been on in what they described as inclement weather, correct?
Yeah, correct.
But there are those people who would say, hey, why not just cooperate when they're pulling you over? Why lock yourself inside the car and refuse to get out initially?
Because he's a dummy.
That's why I felt safe at. I wasn't going to get out the car because my head was during the daytime. And then you put your hand on your gun and reach out for me. No, I feared for my life.
Bro, you were driving with a suspended light. And he said you didn't have your seatbelt on. Obviously, I guess he had a legal amount of drugs because we didn't hear anything about the weed that was found on him. You're driving without a suspended license, brother. Come on now. Tell the whole story. That's where I felt safe. You know, hey, maybe my license was suspended, but, hey, my brother was scared.
Put your hand on your gun and reach out for me. No, I feared for my life. And I know how officers of JSO are towards black men here in Jacksonville.
What went through your mind at that moment when the deputy broke your window and punches you in the face as you sit in the car?
I was surprised. I was scared, frightened. I grew up being told that officers protect us, but that wasn't the case.
How did you feel when you heard the sheriff say that the state's attorney's office found no criminality in the deputy's actions?
I haven't been listening to the sheriff.
Mr. Daniels, your reaction?
My reaction to no criminality is it's not shocking, not surprising by JSO. As William put it, JSO has a history of brutality against African-American males. We have represented multiple people against JSO, and it always starts some type of pretext or stop, like a seatbelt infraction, which is a civil violation, $15 fine, and in some cases leading to young men being killed, some been savagely beaten. So I echo what William was saying, who's afraid of JSO. JSO has a brutal history of treating young African-Americans very harsh and using unlawful use of force. To the prosecuting office not bringing criminal charges is ridiculous.
And Mr. Daniels, you have said that you plan to file a lawsuit. When do you expect to take legal action, and what do you hope to see ultimately as the outcome?
Well, we are in the process of taking legal action, not just taking legal action in a civil matter. We also seek redress from the Department of Justice. I know that may be shocking to some due to the current administration, but nevertheless, we're going to formally request the Department of Justice to come in this particular matter, and we'll see what happens.
William, you said earlier today that growing up as a black man, you learned not to fight officers on the streets, but to fight in court. What kind of outcome are you hoping to see ultimately from a lawsuit?
The outcome that we all hoping to see, justice. Justice for all black men, across America, across the world.
No, bro. No, hell no. No, don't put me in that. Listen, I have experienced racism from police officers. All right, grew up in the South, certain part of the country. I've experienced it personally. And there's been times when I felt uncomfortable. There's been times when I felt unsafe. And you know what I did? Officer says, hey, can you do this? Do that. I say, officer, I've asked, why are you pulling me over, officer? Officer said, this is why I'm pulling you over. All right, fine. What do you need? This is what I need. Give me this and this and this. Okay, hey, next time, just make sure good here, good there. Keep it moving. Don't put me in that, bro. Listen, I am never, ever in any situation going to slam my door on a police officer. Period. So, hey, this isn't about us. If you want to talk about being racially profiled, fine. But I'm sorry, Mr. McNeil. I'm not seeing it in this case, but I could be wrong. Y'all let me know what you think.
It happens not just here, but everywhere. I'm not the only person this done happened to. It's far worse has happened.
No.
What would justice look like for you?
This didn't happen to me.
Fighting for what's right, better training of our officers, and better officers.
And, you know, people who don't slam their doors on police officers, driving without a suspended license. Hey, if we're going to hold people accountable, you got to do it on both sides. William, you were a dummy. Come on now.
Has this impacted your outlook on police? Has it impacted you emotionally?
Emotionally, I have mixed emotions. I'm terrified of police currently. Anytime I see a cop, I really just don't want to be around them. Sometimes I get angry when I see a cop, but I don't let that affect me daily.
It's understandable.
I don't drive anymore. And that's pretty much it. No.
Did he say I don't drive anymore? Oh, brother.
I barely can sleep. That is another thing.
Your license is suspended.
I can barely sleep. I get like 2 hours of sleep a night. I have flashbacks and nightmares, you know.
William McNeil, Harry Daniels, we thank you both so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank God, again, to all the brothers out there. Use this as an example. Thank God this didn't end up worse. We've seen situations where it's been warranted and unwarranted, and it's gone so bad. And I don't think Mr. McNeil, whatever he's trying to prove or whatever he's trying to go through for the black brothers in here, I don't think it's worth your life, sir. Thank God he's still here, and maybe something good will come of this, but that is just a bad situation. And of course, you know, the police are going to speak out. So now we have to hear from the Jacksonville sheriff and see what he had to say about this, since we're holding everybody accountable. Well, let's check it out.
Yeah, Eric. Yes, sir.
I know that he was charged with resisting arrest without violence.
Yep.
But there was, when I go back and look at the other video from the cell phone video,
yeah,
I can understand the officer punching the window out. But what I don't understand is, and I know you said that this was not ruled criminal, sucker punching the guy in the jaw.
Ooh,
first of all, let me stop you.
Explain yourself.
Not a sucker punch. I'm not excusing that administratively. I'm going to say that to you one more time. I'm not excusing that administratively. There are things that we definitely need to look at. But the context of this video should tell you everything you need to know.
Well, again,
can you answer the question?
It looks like it's a sucker punch because he's looking straight and you see this.
Right.
Okay, and then you see them pull him out and then you see a couple of punches to the face. Now, again, I understand breaking the window, but he charged him with resisting arrest without violence. So I saw a lot of violence. I think the public saw a lot of violence against somebody that was not violent.
Well, first of all, Eric, don't try to talk the public into what they saw. They just saw the same video as you saw. So what we're doing, what I'm saying is...
Oh, hi. Member of the public here. We saw violence. We saw the punch. Yeah, so I agree with this fine gentleman who's asking some very pointed and great questions. We saw violence, and not from Mr. McNeil.
Is that it is what it is. This is the information that I want to share with the public in context without a short clip. It's very important to do that because it provides a lot of information to the public.
And you brought up
it's important. Let me finish. It's important for the people to know that you're not allowed to resist a police officer when he's doing his lawful duties. It's been dealt with several different times. You don't resist when you're doing your lawful duties. You don't deserve to get violated, but you deserve to get what's necessary to get you under control and get you and take you into custody.
Sure. So, and legally, he's right. Was a punch necessary? Maybe. Is it legal? Possibly, especially when you resist. Open your door. You're being arrested for resisting. Open your door. You're being arrested for resisting. Step out of the vehicle. You're being arrested for resisting. Please step out of the vehicle. You're being arrested for resisting. Step out of the vehicle. You're being arrested for resisting. Step out of the vehicle. You're being arrested for resisting. step out of the vehicle, you're being arrested for resisting. He had his chance 7 times. I mean, if that's not resisting, I don't know what is.
I'll leave there. I'll go with. Go ahead.
One of the discrepancies people were seeing between the police report and what we saw in the video, even what we saw in that video, was the allegation that McNeil had reached down for the knife. That was in the police report. But
Where'd you see? What police report did you see that
in the arrest report for McNeil, that was stated that the officer saw him, reach for the knife that was on the floorboard. The video that was posted to social media, and even in there, I couldn't see any clear indication of that. I mean, do you see that when you're watching this?
No, actually, I don't see where his hands are. I can't assume, Jake.
That's a problem.
No one can assume. We operate off facts and facts alone. I can't make assumptions. All I can go by when I read those things is what's stated in the report. I'm not saying whether it's true or whether it's not. I'm saying no one sees his hands at that point. He says, put your hands up, then his hands come up. But it was after the strike to the face. Like I said, again, I'm not trying this case in front of the public. I'm trying to give the public the information in context of what happened. No one saw his hands at that point. Don't know what happened from there, but that's part of the investigative process. Yes, ma'am.
Guys, can you imagine? Woo! Thank God Mr. McNeil is still here. Can y'all imagine if this had went a different way? And Mr. McNeil ends up on a t-shirt. And guess what the police report's going to say? Exactly what you just heard. And you're going to see the body cam footage. And you're going to see the video of him. And what are you going to see? Police officer 7 times asked this man to get out of the vehicle. You're under arrest for resisting. He doesn't get out. Officer sees him lean over. He's got his cell phone. How many times have we seen people over cell phones? He's got his cell phone. He's leaning over. He leans this way. The police officer says, weapon, 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 gun, gun, gun. Mr. McNeil's no longer with us. And then he has a weapon on the floor of his vehicle. I don't even know if we're talking about this today, to be honest. It's not worth it, man. It's just not worth it. Go to court, fight it.
So did officers take custody of the cell phone that he was using to record the incident?
Yes. Put it in the property room.
Okay, that also was not in the report.
But he got it back with all the information still on it.
So can I get back to the sucker punch?
The young lady back there had a question. We can get back to you in a second, Eric.
So did this incident rise to a level that a response to resistance report was generated?
Yes.
Has that been reviewed? And it's still under review? What was the outcome?
So here's the process. When force is used, a response to resistance report is written. It goes to the supervisors. The supervisors then, at that point, review body cam footage. So they would have reviewed this. But you can't see, admittedly, you can't see the strike at all. So it's very difficult. Had they seen that, it probably would have risen to another level to where somebody else would have gone further. Which is why we didn't really know at that time that all this had taken place. I'm a big believer in being honest and upfront. And if something like that happens, I'm going to tell you about it, like everything else that we've done. But it's very important to make sure we get this stuff out here in context so folks can see it. Yes, ma'am.
Sheriff, what are your thoughts on the video that was posted on social media? And here's one of the officers kind of turns off the video, turns off what's being recorded. What are your thoughts on that?
What?
I don't know that he turned it off. I know that at some point we stopped it, but we wanted to make sure you got a chance to see both views from the officers that were dealing with him publicly, talking to him face to face. At some point it does turn off, but usually when the interaction's over is when that happens. And that's why we're still looking. That's why we look at the entire process. That's why we check for JSO policy violations. I can't give you right now whether they turned it off at the right time or at the wrong time. This is my opportunity to share the information with the public, right? And so now we still continue to refer to the social media video. When I just showed you body cam videos with much more information. Let's acknowledge that because that's important.
There's a lot of information.
The importance is I'm showing you the video, the body cam video from the entire incident from start until they had to turn it off or we stopped it for time, for time's sake.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like reacting to these things initially when it comes out, because then you get more information and you get to see what happened. The video Mr. McNeil showed, he's just sitting in his car like, oh, Hey, I'm just sitting in my car this whole time. I don't have to put down my window. People were outraged, right? Then we find out more information. It's like, okay, man, he was being stupid.
Do you know if McNeil ever filed a formal complaint?
He did not. He did not. He never filed a formal complaint, which we'd have been all over it, if had that been the case. But he did not. Right there.
So I just want to get back to the punch. This is just to be a yes or no question.
Wait, Eric, are you going to tell me how to answer a question?
I'm just keeping it simple.
All right, go ahead.
Was it appropriate for the officer to punch this guy in the jaw after he'd already broken the window? Was that yes or no? Was that appropriate?
It depends on the circumstances. But it's already determined it's not criminal. Now we're going to look for JSO policy violations. How about that? Is that good?
Well, if a civilian did that to another civilian, they would be in handcuffs.
No, not necessarily. It depends on the circumstances, the situation.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe if it's a citizen's arrest, they have the right to do that. Come on, Eric. Ask some better questions, man.
I know that's how you want it to be. I know there's a tendency to want to be some massive cover-up. That is not. That's why I'm here. I stand up. We talk to you about what happened. We give you what we can give you. Then it's up to you guys to report it. But
do you think the public is going to buy that?
Yes.
I don't know. My point is.
Do you think the black community is going to buy the
Don't use the black thing. I'm a black man. Wait, hold on, Eric. Hold on. Stop for a second. Because you're trying to be incendiary, and this is not the time for it. This is me sharing information with our public, right? The whole statements about the black issue. I wouldn't work here if we're after black men or black people, period. I can tell you he wouldn't. I can tell you any other African American or black male or female that works here wouldn't work here if our black citizens are under siege. Not the case. Not at all. I've been alive probably a little bit longer than you have. Haven't had any of these issues. You know why? Because if I was ever stopped by the police, which I was when I was a young man, and they asked me to do something, I did it.
Thank you. Exactly. Hey, I'm with him on this one. If I was stopped by the police and they said, hey, can I see your registration? Can I see your expired, suspended license? What? Here you go. Sorry. Ooh. Yo, he said don't. That's why I said the same thing. Let's not do the black thing, Mr. McNeil, because I promise you, I'm not slamming my door when a police officer says, hey, why you got your door open like that? I'm not even going to have my door open. 10 and 2. Hey, officer. Why'd you pull me over? Okay, what do you need? License and registration. Can I grab it? Yep, here you go. There you go, officer. You need anything else? Nope, I'll be right back. I pulled you over because you weren't wearing your seatbelt. Ah, man. Oh, you giving me a ticket? Yep, I'm giving you a ticket. All right. Here you go. You want to fight it and go to court? Go ahead and do that. Okay, have a nice day. This man knew he was driving around on a suspended license and want to act like he's representing all. Ooh, I almost said he's representing all black brothers out here. You're on your own on this one, Mr. McNeil. I'm sorry.
Because if I was ever stopped by the police, which I was when I was a young man, and they asked me to do something, I did it. It's simple. Simple compliance. Simple. It doesn't rise. It doesn't get out of control. That stuff doesn't happen then. Do as we ask you to do. If you don't like the word compliance, just do as we ask you to do then, so that we can get finished. Then you tell us about it if you feel like your rights were violated, and we can deal with it.
And this is also why I don't talk to the police at length, because they have a job to do. And if they start asking questions like, hey, officer, listen, I understand you have a job to do. I know I have certain rights. I'm not comfortable communicating this any further without representation. We keep it moving, man. Police officers know they're good. The majority.
That's the way it should work.
That's the way
every
it should
single
work.
time. Yes, ma'am.
It's not that complicated.
Does he have a disciplinary history at all?
Not that I know of. We'd have to look, but I don't think so. We'll get you that answer. Anyone else?
You gotta pay that child support.
It's hard to tell, but we're trying to get it done as quickly as possible. There are other cases working, but we're trying to get it done as quickly as possible because we want to, like I said, we want to share. We want to share as much as we can, as quickly as we can, because it's that important.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about what happened and what was the result of the investigation. We don't have the full results, but we're going to hear what's happening with the officer involved in this altercation shortly. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Oh, man, I know we're going to have a lot of raccoon emojis in the comments of this one. Lordy. Shout out to the gang, man. Y'all sticking around. I know I want to read some more comments, but we got to get into this because I know I'm running super late today. But I appreciate y'all sticking around because we got some more updates for you guys I want to get to on this case before we get to the weekend. So check this out because Jacksonville is a mess. Jacksonville is an absolute mess. Because now that we see everything that happened with Mr. McNeil, his window getting busted, him getting slammed on the ground by these police officers, face all bloody. He says he suffered a concussion. Now we get to hear what happened to the officer that landed that punch that, hey, I got to give Mr. McNeil credit. He absolutely ate that punch. So shout out to him. Either way, what's going to happen here? And we're actually going to hear from the DA's office about what the Jacksonville Sheriff Department had to say about this. It's getting ugly in Jacksonville, guys.
Exit the vehicle now! Exit the vehicle! Show me your hands.
Here. Tonight on the 10 o'clock news, a Jacksonville Sheriff's Office traffic stop going viral with 1 million views and climbing on social media. Now we see all the angles of the interaction.
I'm about to break a window. All right, go for it. Exit the vehicle now! Exit the vehicle! Show me your hands.
JSO releasing body camera footage from each of the 3 officers who were involved in the incident, which is now drawing national attention. After roughly 4 minutes of asking William McNeil Jr. to get out of his car, officers smashed through the window, pulled him out of the car, and pinned him to the ground, telling that driver to stop resisting. The viral traffic stop now prompting questions of drivers' legal rights and demands of transparency from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office.
This incident happened back in February, but McNeil just posted the video on social media this past weekend. Sheriff T.K. Waters says an internal department investigation into the officer's conduct is underway. A violent altercation that all began when police noticed McNeil's headlights weren't on. News4Jax reporter Eric Avignon joining us live in studio tonight. Eric, you have more on everything that's happening here.
Yeah, so we just found out today that encounter between Will McNeil Jr. and Officer Donald Bowers, again, it happened back in February, but Sheriff T.K. Waters announced today that he didn't know about it until someone had told him about that cell phone video that was posted onto social media. He said he ordered an immediate investigation into the matter.
My blogger's license.
This is the cell phone video that has since gone viral after it was posted onto social media.
Exit the vehicle!
You just saw 22-year-old Will McNeil Jr. being punched in the face by JSO Officer Donald Bowers during a traffic stop. Now, here is the newly released body cam video showing how it all began.
Yes, sir. Is there a reason why you're popping the door open like that?
I don't have a window that works. Is there a reason that you're pulling me over?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why I'm pulling you over. For one thing, inclement weather, you don't have your lights on. 2 things, you're not wearing your seatbelt.
It's daylight. I don't need the lights. And it's not weather. It's not raining.
Oh, this is inclement.
It's not raining.
Okay, I'm not arguing with you. I'm telling you why I'm pulling you over. Give me your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance.
No, call your supervisor. Why?
Excuse me?
Call your supervisor. Why did you pull me over?
I've already told you.
Why did you pull me over?
This brother, he's tried something he saw on YouTube. No, I'm not giving you that. Why'd you pull me over? He already told you, man. I'm gonna let it go.
Step out of the vehicle.
No,
step out of the
vehicle.
No,
Moments later, after more cops show up, Officer Bowers' body cam records what happens next.
Exit the vehicle now! Exit the vehicle! Show me your hands.
Here.
10:33 at 15:21 hours.
Where's your reason? Step out. Where's your reason? Step out now. All right. Get on the ground. No, don't get on the ground.
Put your hands behind your back.
I'm resisting.
Hands behind your back.
McNeil pled guilty to driving on a suspended license and resisting arrest without violence. Sheriff T.K. Waters says this encounter could have been prevented if McNeil had not resisted arrest, but what about this punch to the face as seen in the cell phone video?
Was it appropriate for the officer to punch this guy in the jaw after he'd already broken the window? Was that yes or no? Was that appropriate?
It depends on the circumstances. But it's already determined it's not criminal. Now we're going to look for it for JSO policy violations. How about that? Is that good?
Well, if a civilian did that to another civilian, they would be in handcuffs.
No, not necessarily. It depends on the circumstances, the situation.
I asked that same question to civil rights attorney John Burris. If his name sounds familiar, it should. He represented Rodney King in court after King was seen on video being beaten by Los Angeles police officers during a traffic stop.
This ain't Rodney King, but we'll keep it moving.
Burris has no affiliation with this investigation.
If a regular civilian had done that to another person, would it be safe to say that that civilian would have been charged with aggravated assault and
Eric, stop with the race baiting, sir. Please.
Would it be safe to say that that civilian would have been charged with aggravated assault and destruction of property?
Absolutely. And that's why a civil rights case is going to be filed soon.
John.
Now, McNeil is being represented by civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump and Harry Daniels. And when I spoke with Burris, he showed interest in joining those attorneys in this case to create what he would call a legal dream team.
So one of the things that the sheriff did today, we learned a lot. We saw the additional body camera videos there. Now that we know William McNeil Jr.'s name, you've been looking into maybe his past. What have you found there?
I think you're talking about the officer.
Thank you very much. Yes, Bowers is the name of this
Bowers, yeah. So what I found out is that he is no stranger to the IA, Internal Affairs. In fact, he's been at the center of 5 previous internal affairs investigations. 3 were initiated by civilian complaints, and the other 2 were from within JSO. Only 3 of the complaints led to either a reprimand or some type of counseling. So again, now this is a totally different accusation here. We're talking about,
that's scary.
Did he violate JSO policy? Because as we know, according to the state attorney's office, which was revealed in that news conference today, they didn't find any criminal wrongdoing. The state attorney didn't.
And no idea at this point how long the internal investigation will take.
Have no idea how long that could take. I mean, it could take weeks, it could take months. It just depends on, in terms of their policy, JSO policy, what did they deem that if a policy was broken?
Mm-hmm. Eric, thank you.
Interesting. Very interesting. So now we find out the officer involved in this entire situation has had previous complaints against him. This is the thing that scares me. Officers like this who show a pattern of behavior, even if they're removed, oftentimes they go to another precinct and maybe go to another county. And that's something that definitely needs to be fixed in this situation. Now, did he use reasonable force here? I'm not an officer. I don't know, but let's listen and see what the DA's office had to say about this, because it gets worse.
Chris, and there was more local fallout tonight from that viral cell phone video of the traffic stop.
Several hours ago, protesters gathered in front of City Hall to demand justice and accountability from Sheriff Waters. News4Jax reporter Eric Avignon attended the protest, and he's joining us live from downtown with what they had to say. Eric?
Yeah, Joy, when we spoke with protesters, they said the big elephant in the room was the way Sheriff T.K. Waters responded to legitimate questions that they said they cared about during yesterday's news conference, questions that centered around that video recorded beating of Will McNeil Jr. Just days after this video showing JSO officer Donald Bowers punching Will McNeil Jr. during a traffic stop went viral.
Indict, convict, send those brutal cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell.
Demonstrators gathered in front.
What happened to hands up, don't shoot? I guess we forgot about that one.
Of City Hall to protest the officer's use of force. McNeil was pulled over for not wearing his seatbelt and not having his headlights on during inclement weather. An exchange of words led to the traffic stop turning violent.
The officer should have just told the brother, your headlights are not on, turn your headlights on and drive during inclement weather. See you later.
Protesters say Sheriff T.K. Waters made matters worse during his Monday news conference to address the video recorded beating.
You blame that young man for not coming to you.
Oh, this narrative is disgusting. He's calling it a video recorded beating. Jesus.
Reporting this, but you say you hold your officers to a high standard, so why didn't the officers go and self-report themselves?
Although the sheriff says he has been transparent about the video recorded beating in other instances where his officers' actions made news headlines, protesters say he is not being transparent enough when it comes to answering honest questions.
Because it's far too long now that he has been getting away with not answering questions.
How the sheriff answered one question in particular during Monday's news conference had protesters sounding off.
Was it appropriate for the officer to punch this guy in the jaw after he'd already broken the window? Was that yes or no? Was that appropriate?
It depends on the circumstances. But it's already determined it's not criminal. Now we're going to look for JSO policy violations. How about that? Is that good?
Well, if a civilian did that to another civilian, they would be in handcuffs.
No, not necessarily. It depends on the circumstances, the situation.
It's disgusting what his response is. It's truly disgusting. There's no accountability for these officers.
I don't think he meaningfully answered any questions.
He seemed evasive, very, very general answers. I'm not buying any of it.
I think his approach was, how can we deflect, how can we undermine, which I think is the last thing that we need from our law enforcement.
Wow.
Now, this morning, the sheriff went on NPR radio and answered a series of questions, including questions about Monday's news conference that in itself went viral on social media. In the meantime, this issue is not going away anytime soon. Demonstrators are planning to gather in front of JSO this Saturday at 5 p.m. for yet another protest.
Yeah, this is getting out of hand. Eric needs to chill, man. He's calling this a video recorded beating. Bruh. First of all, it was already determined it wasn't criminal. Okay. You can move forward in the legal process to say that you disagree, or we can let it go. It wasn't criminal. Now, as the sheriff said, we're going to determine whether that was a violation of their policy. Is it a violation? I don't know. If it's a violation, what's going to happen to the officer? Maybe he's on a certain amount of leave. Maybe he loses some vacation days. I don't know. That's the scary part to me. An officer who's, according to this news station, has had repeated offenses like this. That's somebody that does not need to be on the force, even if he's using that type of force properly. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. It's getting out of hand. Yeah, shout out to the gang. We've got over 1,100 of y'all in here. Thank you to all 1,500 of you that liked the video. Guys, we got to call it a weekend. We will be live tonight. If you want to check out some of the amazing music from the independent artists here in this community, make sure you tune into the show tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the channel. Big thank you to everybody that went the extra mile and not only liked the video, but supported via super chat. Shout out to Les Cleaver, Kara Hampton, Mary in here as well. We had Paua Eyes, Slim Life New Jersey. We had Laura Lee in here as well. CPE in the building. And then the major sponsors of today's show, Dr. EJ and Will Wallace. And of course, y'all know I cannot forget the awesome, amazing Amy in the building as well. I appreciate y'all. Let me see. I'm going to read a couple more comments, then we're going to get out of here. Amy says he was warned 7 times. 7 times he was warned and ignored him. And 2 times he said no. These youngsters are being encouraged to disobey the law, playing with your life. Nobody wants to address that. If you, William, would have complied, maybe he wouldn't have been punched. Don't escalate danger for yourself. And I mean, if you're going to do that, I mean, keep your hands up or something. Don't put your hands down. Like, was he trying to, anyway, I don't know. I personally, I think dude was hoping for a lawsuit. He was driving on a suspended license. If you see his face on the video, he knows what's going to happen. Eric over here, he keeps calling it a video recorded beating. That's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Dude had a huge knife too. I don't like this for him. Either way, we out of here, man. Y'all have a great rest of your weekend. If you haven't yet subscribed, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time that we go live or drop a new video here on the channel. I appreciate y'all. And as always, you know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace. Wild.